Wolfpack, what is going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street. RotoStreetJournal.com, we breed and feed you fantasy wolves. Here with the official Week 1 Sit Start show. I am so pumped to be back, to be live with all of you. A new NFL season is here. We got some great action so far on Thursday Night Football, Friday Night Football. My wife hates our life right now because there's football every single day, so it would appear. But no, it's been great. She's been enjoying the action too. She's got a fantasy team, and we are all loving it. It's been an awesome kickoff. I will, as always, start with a handful of news and nuggets. It's week 1, so there's not as much as usual. Oh, this week 1, there seems to be a bit more notes than we typically have to dive into, but I also like to cover some of those key takeaways from those last few games. And then, as always, for about 2 or so hours, your boy will be live taking all the sit-start questions that you guys have. Maybe there's not a ton of them because it's week 1 and your lineups are stacked and loaded, and how could we even have questions about it? But on Thursday, we had some amazing questions. It was so fun. Love to see it. So I love this 8 a.m. time slot, too. Hopefully, you guys still enjoy it as well. It gives us a little time to get our own lineups ready at Roto Street Journal before here. So I'll be live from about 8 to 10 a.m. every Sunday, answering these sit-start questions. So get those coffees ready, those Bloody Marys, the mimosas, whatever your beverage of choice, all 3 perhaps. Let's get going, though, and get to those questions in just a few minutes. Let's talk about quickly, though, our Thursday Night Football takeaways as the mailbag biz. Just a reminder, too, if you're jumping in right now, those thumbs up buttons, the likes, the shares, the retweets, it really does go so far to helping us. We used to get thousands and thousands of people on these streams last season. Who knows how it will go this year, but we were getting 200, 300 questions on Sunday mornings. It was the best. People continue to come back every single week. We're hoping that is the case yet again in 2024 so we can help you guys dominate. So please do consider the likes, the shares, the retweets, wherever you're watching from. It means a lot, but thank you again so much. I already see about 10, 20 questions building up in that mailbag. Great to see. Awesome stuff. In terms of Thursday Night Football takeaways, I think the biggest we have to start with is, what about Mark Andrews? What the hell do we do here? This bona fide top 5 tight end, a guy that I was considering a must draft in many leagues in round 5. And Isaiah Likely just comes on in 3.17 yards per route run for Isaiah Likely, 0.37 for Mark Andrews, 30% target share for Likely, 5% for Mark Andrews. Now, the positive is 2 tight end stats on 53% of the snaps, nearly 60% of the time they have both guys out there. And we did have Andrews out there for more snaps. But, I mean, Isaiah Likely going for 12 targets, 9 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown, a hair away from almost yet another score. Oh, man, like this has to worry you as a Mark Andrews owner. Only 2 catches for 14 yards. I know a lot of people, and rightfully so, pointing out the Chiefs always limit Andrews, that they were bracketing him with double coverage, and it's only going to get up from here. I agree with that, but I also do see a situation here where, 2 tight ends, they're going to continue to nibble each other's cheese. We don't like running back backfields. Well, one of the only things worse than running back backfields by committee are tight ends by committee. So ultimately, this is a concern for me. If you think that Mark Andrews still has some very solid name value, and a lot of the if you're playing the buy low narratives from these writers here, I'm honestly on the opposite train of what a lot of people are telling you to do. I'm panicking. I'm selling him if he has some name value. You can let us know in the comments if you have questions as to what would I trade him for. I think if you can get yourself, though, like a Jake Ferguson and a nice little bench piece or something of that nature, you can check my rest of season rankings on rotostreetjournal.com. I updated them through the Thursday action. I'll update them through the Friday action later today. You can see who I have. I have Andrews all the way down, though, at tight end 12, below Isaiah Likely. I honestly think that this could be a changing of the guard. Likely's more athletic, doing more things. This is the biggest takeaway, so I'm spending the most time on this one because it is a very worrisome situation for Mark Andrews owners, and I am not going to hold back and pretend like it's not. I'm scared. As somebody who has Mark Andrews in quite a few leagues, I am terrified. I would probably take what I could get. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you sell him for too cheap. He'll have his big days, but I think they're going to constantly be eating at each other. So I like Likely as well as a pickup, but ultimately, I don't know that I'd break the bank to go get him either. Just because, again, it's going to be a cannibalized type of situation. Derrick Henry, not that we ever really expected him to be game flow proof. This is why I actually called him a soft fade in the draft guide. Ultimately, though, did I expect him to get out-snapped by Justice Hill in bad situations like this 49% of the snaps for Henry, 51% for Justice Hill. The night kicked off great for him. A touchdown for Henry right off the jump, first touchdown of the 2024 season. We all could have probably seen that coming. And then it was all downhill. I do think this is one, unlike Andrews, I'm not panicking on Henry, though. This is kind of what we knew we were getting, so we should just accept it. On the times they're trailing, it's going to be tough. This is what it was for Henry his whole career, 22.5 points in wins, 12.3 points in losses. And they last year only trailed, the stat is so crazy to me, on 45 second-half plays with Lamar all year. The Chiefs are as good, if not the best offense they're going to face all season. They hit the Raiders next week, a great rebound spot. If anybody in your league is panicking about their Derrick Henry shares, I would be trying to buy just because, again, this is exactly what we expected. Sure, we'll get a few more game flowed out of it games. Yes, the touchdown saved him. But ultimately, this offense looked so good in that first drive. I think they'll get it together, and they won't be playing from behind so often. My third takeaway is Rashee Rice. I mean, beautiful, beautiful Amon-Ra St. Brown type of layup roll, motioning him in, facing linebackers on his routes, hitting those easy slants for tons of yak, looking so damn explosive. He ultimately finishes with 33% target share, 77% of the routes, goes 7 catches for 103 yards. A lot of people asked on Thursday asking, Rashee Rice, do I play him? And we said, and so many of them were PPR questions. I believe we answered Rashee Rice on every single one. And so if you have him, maybe this is the most aggressive I've ever been in terms of my rest of season big board. He jumped into my round 1. Like I think that you get a St. Brown for Patrick Mahomes. What could be better than that? And Marquise Brown isn't there, was the comments I kept getting. This is 2 completely different wide receivers. Marquise Brown will get his targets down the field. I'm not worried about that at all. This is the Rashee Rice show. The way they were using him, moving him around against a Ravens defense, just knifing through a secondary that was one of the top in the league last year. I loved everything I saw. So many first read targets there. And I do think this is a little concerning for Travis Kelce. Sure, he's going to have some better days too. I'm more worried about Mark Andrews than I am Travis Kelce, but I am a little worried about Travis Kelce when we have now Rashee Rice taking over as that clear-cut, lead, move the chains, first read type of guy. That's what Kelce has been for so long, what's made him so valuable. Yes, he's going to have some big days too, but he dropped a few spots on my rest of season tight ends. I'm now looking at the Trey McBrides, the Dalton Kincaids, of course, Sam Laporta, those young guys that are really starting to rise and have a potential, especially in Kincaid, to be the number 1 option in their attacks. I don't want number 4 in Travis Kelce right now below him, even if it is a Pat Mahomes offense. The last 2 takeaways I had jotted down from this game were Xavier Worthy. 2 touchdowns, racking up 68 yards from scrimmage on just 4 touches. If you tuned in on Thursday night, I'm not a victory lapper. I hate doing that. I think it's bad karma, bad luck. I only want to say this because I just love when I get it right for the fans. There's nothing better than when he took that 21-yard rushing touchdown, shot out of a cannon, scored for a 21-yarder. I just such a breath of fresh air. Just I can relax because he was a risky start. A lot of people had to roll the dice, and we got so many Worthy questions on Thursday. And I said, play him. Get 1, the Thursday night excitement, but 2, this guy is going to be a perfect fit for what they like to do. And we saw it on designed runs, on screens. Of course, that broken coverage play too. Oh, well, you can't. A lot of people have already seen it, pumping out, sell high while you can on Worthy. He only scored on a broken play. He only had 4 touches. I think those touches are only going to continue to go up. I think you're going to get plenty of broken plays on a Chiefs offense that is so hard to defend. That's not going to be just a 1-week phenomenon here. I loved what I saw from Xavier Worthy. I think if anybody is somehow listening to the narratives of selling high, buy. I am in the buyer's market right now on him. I think his touches will only go up. I am not worried about Marquise Brown returning again. I just think this offense. I also got some. Should I panic about Pat Mahomes? He only put up 15 points here. You saw the way that this offense knifed through a historic last year, all-time great season from the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is a definite buy on Mahomes if somebody is panicking in here. I got 3 questions. Do I get into boring right now about Pat Mahomes? No. They're going to put up 50 touchdowns this season through the air. I know this one, it happened to just be a rushing touchdown to Xavier Worthy that time, and then Pacheco, who my next takeaway is, scored 1 as well. But more often than not, you're going to get 4 or 5 touchdowns. They move through this defense with ease. I can't even imagine what they're going to do to the remaining opponents on the schedule. The last one here is Isaiah Pacheco. 80%, quiet 15-point day. Quiet, 15-point day is great, right? But then you look at the underlying usage, and you got to be thrilled. 80% of the snaps, 79% of the rushes, 73% of routes, 11% target share. great usage at the goal line. What's not to love right now about Isaiah Pacheco, a true workhorse in the Kansas City Chiefs offense? Right there with Rachaad White in terms of jumping up. Rachaad White did enter my round one. Pacheco's right there nipping at his heels, though. I could see that flipping at some point if it ends up being a little more concerning usage for Rice as the season goes. But, man, that was a great role. Maybe they were just working in P. Ryan. He blew up on pass protection. He did not do well in his few snaps there, P. Ryan. So I loved what I saw for Isaiah Pacheco. And then Zay Flowers, very encouraging volume, disappointing night, 25% target share. That was great, but still 6.0 average depth of target, not getting that crazy deep roll that he is so capable of. Yeah, he's great. It's awesome to see the layup stuff. That builds in your floor. But to have a true ceiling in fantasy at receiver, you need to also be able to attack every layer of the field, and he is able to. It's just a matter of why are they not using him? He averaged over 15.7 yards per reception at Boston freaking College. I'm a local guy. I support him. Yeah, go BC. This is BC. That quarterback when Flowers playing was absolutely dreadful. So ultimately, Lamar can sling this thing deep to Zay Flowers more often. I hope they start dialing it up because otherwise he's going to be a nice, stable wide receiver 3, kind of like what he was last year. But if we don't get that deep portion of the field unlocked for Zay, it caps the ceiling ultimately there. All righty, that takes up my Thursday Night Football takeaways. I'm going to try out a new little thing this year where I mix in a handful of questions in between each segment before, of course, the last hour and a half, 2 hours being just strictly your questions. But good morning, Kristen Mann. Great to see some regulars. Nicola has arrived. Great to see you, Nicola. I am so pumped to hear that you guys found a league to get in there. Let's go. I know you were worried about that. I tried. We got 6 or 7 people that were interested, Nicola, but I just couldn't put it together that late in the offseason. So I'm so happy you found a league. Let's go. I would have missed you guys too much on the stream here had we not had you. Ja'Marr White or Stevenson for running back 2 in week 1. Neither of these guys are my personal favorites. Not going to lie to you. I don't love the sugarcoat things here. I think this week, I don't know. I'm going to go Stevenson. I'm the one, I want to find the positives where I can. And I do like Alex Van Pelt's zone blocking scheme. He carries it over from Cleveland. We saw some good, the line sucks, but this type of scheme does max the deficiencies. I know Antonio Gibson is now playing. That would have made it an easy smash if Gibson was out. But depends if he's going to be limited at all. Maybe Stevenson gets a little bit more of a receiving bump. I am worried about actually both of these guys getting game flowed out. But I think Stevenson showed enough as a pass catcher that even if they're getting beat, he could still stay involved. Whereas Ja'Marr White, if the Chargers get up big early, I do worry a little bit they just flip it right over to Dylan Laube. Maybe he's the touchdown guy early. This is a tricky one for running back 2. But I'm ultimately going to say Stevenson, who I have just slightly higher. But glad to see you, Nicola. I'm so glad you guys were able to find a league. I was truly – I would have missed you guys if you weren't here for these shows. And then Tien Nguyen, great to see. I love the regulars all coming out. This is my favorite part of week 1 is when you see all the names you're used to seeing on Sunday mornings. I know it's virtually about my best friends are all here. There's nothing like that, but it's also just my friends are back. Here we are, the people you love to see. Should I bench Burrow for Stafford or Baker Mayfield? That's a really good question. And I'm going to actually – you're making me rethink my rankings because my gut reaction is no Tee Higgins. I don't know what's the deal with Ja'Marr Chase quite yet. We're going to go through some of that news as far as we have the updates right now. I ultimately – though I feel great about Stafford tonight. Detroit defense, Swiss cheese last year. Sure, they added a couple pieces, but I think it's going to probably be Swiss cheese again. You have the Stafford revenge game narrative. This is the first time he's really had a healthy Cooper Kupp, probably a healthy Puka Nacua from everything he practiced in full all week. Kyron Williams is there to go. When all those guys were all on the field last year, this was a top 7 offense in points per game and pace, all that good stuff. And it really wasn't even a fully healthy Cooper Kupp quite then. I think I'm leaning Stafford here. I do love the Baker Mayfield matchup against Washington too. I just don't Burrow in a game where, to me, that one kind of feels like, let's just win. Let's do the bare minimum. We're not going to, if Chase plays, it's probably on a limited role. I'm going to be bumping him down in the rankings as we go here. And after the show, by the way, I will pump out an updated ranking list because that's part of why I love this show. It forces me to reconsider. I like to go off of what I'm actually feeling in addition to how I had it ranked. I don't just pull up my rankings on the side. I have a Burrow by 3 spots. No, I'm sitting here thinking, if I had this decision, what would I do is what I like to do with these things. And I would go Stafford today. over Burrow. So I will make sure my rankings reflect that. I don't like to answer things and then not put it out there. So I'm going to be like jotting down notes as we go as to terms of like what ranking changes have to make. I mean, dare I say, I feel safer about Baker Mayfield. Again, yeah, Burrow like is so much more talented than Mayfield. But in terms of the matchup, in terms of the weapons today, I feel like Mayfield, I love him at 5,300 on DraftKings or 56, whatever he ended up being. Great price. So I'm just jotting down here. Stafford over Burrow. Burrow's definitely going to be falling in the rankings. Again, if Chase is playing, maybe not quite as dramatic, but I still, even with Chase potentially in a limited role here, I'm just avoiding that game. Other than, of course, Andrei Iosivas. And time is a flat circle, and I once again regret drafting Tee Higgins, Brian Thomas, or Iosivas. I know, Charlie. Why are you drafting Tee Higgins? I don't know why. I took him actually in a league, and immediately I'm just like, what am I doing? And I told everybody on Thursday, play Xavier Worthy over him. Of course, me, myself, that's the one thing with these streams that's tough. That's why we moved to 8 a.m. is I didn't get the chance to make that move myself, even though I told, I think, 7 different people, if you're worried about T, should I just play Xavier Worthy? I said, yes, 100%. And then I looked at my own lineup, T's in the flex, and Xavier Worthy's just putting 20 up on my bench. Yay. I do love these streams. They're so fun, but that's why we had to move this one at least earlier. I have to get better about setting these things when we can during the streams. But yeah, I would say this is a tricky one here. Because I really do like Iosivas. I wrote an article about him. Any of you guys, you want to check it out? I wrote it up yesterday morning. I'm a huge fan. He was one of my top 10 sleepers in the draft guide this summer. I like Iosivas a lot. He's probably going to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Bengals until at least in a full-time route. And the one time he ran 70% of the routes last year, he had 20 fantasy points. I know it's a one-game sample. Like, you can't overreact to that. But I don't love this Patriots secondary. And you imagine even if Chase plays, like that's probably a benefit because they'll draw Christian Gonzalez and the rest of our secondary is just a bag of garbage. So I'll go Iosivas with this one, Charlie. I'm going to, again, make sure my ranks reflect that because I do love Thomas, but like, who do I feel better about just being on the field the whole game and seeing some volume? That is Iosivas. All righty, guys. That is, we did get a super chat, and this is, thank you, sis. NC Firearms. Every show coming in, tossing $5. Like, you're just a legend, man. Always giving us the goods here. Thank you so much. Hopefully we've been getting it right for you while you support your boys. This is a way to cut the line, though. Even while I'm going through the news and whatnot, if you guys are willing to support your guy, the least I can do is put you to the top of the list here. So thank you, NC Firearms. Let's go for it. PPR, start Tua, Stafford, or pick up Fields. Also PPR, flex, assuming Chase doesn't play, start Swift, Sutton, McConkey, or Warren. So NC Firearms, I'm going Stafford. I feel talked about it. I don't know if you're here while I was just talking about him over even Burrow this week. Love the fact that when those 3 were on the field together, Kupp, Puka, and Kyron, this was a top 7 offense. You saw like Stafford, how he was going nuts down the stretch there. He's only 2 seasons removed from hucking 40 touchdowns, and this is going to be the best weapons cast he's ever had. Like, I'm huge into Stafford just in general this year. And then you get the revenge game against Detroit, Sunday Night Football, baby. Like, hell yeah, let's go, NC Firearms. So I'm leaning Stafford here. I do love that Tua Jacksonville. Like, that game's going to be fun, but the only game with more points implied total is that Detroit game. So let's go. Let's rip that one up. I'm huge. And it gives you that Sunday night hope factor, too. If all things are equal, and they're not here, I still rather have Stafford, but if all things equal, give yourself a little hope on Sunday night. Like, Stafford could realistically put up 30 points. Even if you're getting smacked around, you could potentially dig yourself out of a hole here. Now, in terms of the running back or the flex question here, Sutton, McConkey, Warren, Swift. Really tricky one. I don't feel amazing about any of these. I think Swift, there's recent comments from Eberflus talking about how, like, yeah, I used to like committees, but sometimes you got to reevaluate what you do here. I don't know that words matter here. Actions in the preseason, again, don't want to overreact, but Swift's always been a committee back. They were getting Herbert greatly involved. I think Herbert's honestly the better pure runner here, but in a full PPR, like, they're going to design some stuff for Swift. He's going to get some catches. I normally would probably like Sutton the most here, but that is a good Seattle secondary. I'm worried about Mike McDonald. being just a monster coming over from the Ravens. We saw the impact of him not being there. I know that was the Chiefs' impact too. I get it. But it was not the same defense either. Like mistakes happening. That didn't happen in a Mike McDonald defense. I think there's some talent there, especially in the secondary. I could see. I don't want to play any Broncos quite yet. Like let's see how Bo Nix is. Let's see how Iosavis. I feel good about him, but not good enough to bench Swift, who's probably going to get like 4 to 5 dunks down the field. And then if he scores a touchdown, boom. He looked explosive in the preseason too. It might be a timeshare, but Tennessee, nothing that's overly worrisome for me there as a matchup. The other two, Warren, he practicing full, but what's that committee look like? McConkey, very excited about. I could see this becoming McConkey very fast for you on a weekly basis if he's the true number one. But again, let's see that similar to my Brian Thomas going onto the bench over Iosavis. Let's see it from McConkey. Let's see what his role is in week one before we fully commit to that. As much as I love rookies, I was able to work. It was not one of those situations. I was fully ready to go in. There are a handful, and McConkey one of them. If I can wait, I'd rather wait. Thank you, NC Firearms. So I'm going Stafford. I'm going Swift here. I really greatly appreciate the support. Now we'll move on to thank you again, guys. Over 310 of you here already. Let's go. Let's keep these numbers bumping up with that likes, that thumbs up. We so greatly appreciate you being here. We're going to talk about a quick few less takeaways for this game, in my opinion, than what we had on the Thursday one. If you want any of those takeaways, the Mark Andrews, the Worthies, the Rachaad Rice, and you missed them earlier, feel free just to rewind the show for a little bit because we will be getting to all those questions in just a few. But some of the bigger performances, the biggest note, of course, is Jordan Love. What's this injury? And all we know so far is the ACL is intact. It's an MCL sprain. We don't know quite what grade it is, but that is, for all, it's not great. You don't want your quarterback ever injured, but ultimately you can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief here. It's not something that's season ending. It's not going to just tank the Packers season at this point, but we don't know exactly, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but as far as I could tell before I went live this morning, we don't know the grade yet. So if it's a grade 1, it could be a 1 to 2 week thing. He's back out there in a couple of weeks. If it's grade 3, it might be like 3 to 6 weeks. He's on the IR for a little bit. Either way, Love is going to be coming back at some point, and it's not going to be probably the worst case scenario. From what I've been reading, is 5 to 6 weeks, and it seems like it's more likely going to be like a 3 to 4 week thing, maybe a quick stint on the short-term IR. Now, it's going to be a pretty ugly short-term stint if Malik Willis is the quarterback for these next few weeks. I want to talk about it. The next big takeaway is Jaden Reed. Oh, my God, what a night. But as much as, how do you bench a guy next week that had 31 points? If Malik Willis is his quarterback, I don't know if I could go forward starting any of these Packers receivers until I at least see, again, it's Malik Willis. Good Lord. No interest there. So we'll see. I did want to mention, though, Jaden Reed, 6 targets, 4 catches, 138 yards, a 33-yard touchdown on the ground as well. So 2 scores, a 31-point day, over 81 total yards on 7 touches. So damn explosive. I have him in a lot of redraft and some best ball. I wish I had a lot more, though, because I love the player. I talked a lot about how you don't really get – I was talking this with Mo the other day, on one of our streams. You can't have a 200-point rookie season, and typically those guys just smash in year 2. Why are we overthinking it with Jaden Reed and the route rate and whatnot? And even this game, he was the 3rd in terms of snaps. It doesn't matter when you got a talent like that, and he just looked that much more explosive. And I imagine he's going to only continue to increase his field time. Matt LaFleur is a smart coach. They're already really well-designed plays, getting him the ball and letting him just do his thing. I imagine we're going to get a lot more of those. We also saw in terms of the receivers, nothing from Dontavius West, 0, a goose egg. I think you can cut him at this point. If Allen has one of these wide receivers, yeah, great. He's I love the player. I'm not regretting my best ball shares quite yet because I think he's a great handcuff. He was clearly the distant wide receiver 4 in this game in terms of routes, in terms of snaps, and then ultimately didn't do much even when he got targeted there. So Christian Watson playing deeply ahead of him. He didn't do much himself. Saved his day with a touchdown, 3 catches, 13 yards, 5 targets, 4 came in the red zone though. So ultimately, that's also solid to see that type of we're going to use you in the red zone usage. But man, that's risky. If he doesn't score there, he's an absolute hole in your lineup this game. And he does have the explosive ability. There are going to be some games where he's getting deep down the field. But again, until Jordan Love is here, it doesn't matter. Dobbs was the wide receiver 1 with 7 targets, the most routes, the most snaps, but just 4 for 50, kind of that sacrificial X. It is the Jaden Reed show here. And the last 2 takeaways that I got here for the Packers were Tucker Kraft. You got to give him a sneaky boost. I know it was just 2 catches, 37 yards. looking really good and nimble after the catch, though, playing more snaps, more routes than Luke Musgrave as well. Musgrave is cut bait. Get him off your team. No need to save him there. And Kraft, if you're desperate, not the worst tight end stream. Again, once Jordan Love is back. So ultimately, that doesn't matter much. And Josh Jacobs will likely be leaned upon for the next few weeks. He did get 16 carries, 84 yards, 2 catches for 20 yards. It was a brutal start to the game, though. Almost 54, over half of those yards came on 2 runs at the end of the game. And now I'm not the type of guy, you remove that 1 yard, you average 1.5. No, if the guy gets a good run, he gets a good run. You don't want to penalize him for having a great run. But if anybody watched the game, it didn't feel comforting to have Josh Jacobs in your lineup. He ultimately salvaged it a little bit. He got there. It was fine. But without Jordan Love in this offense probably taking a step backwards for the next few weeks, you got to be a little worried. And I'm a little cautious. He did not look great. Those 2 runs did look okay. But even then, it was just so much space. I was about to say I could hit that hole. No, I'd be a broken dead man if I went up the middle like that. But I don't know. Don't love what I saw from Josh Jacobs, and certainly as this goes on. I did love what I saw from Saquon Barkley. Monster 30-point day. Definitely somebody I will be bumping up the rest of the season. Big board. Has could truly threaten to be the number 1 fantasy scorer. They talked about using him like Christian McCaffrey. The tush push is going to rob him of his 3 touchdowns. I'm a little worried. It's a guy that has Jalen Hurts in nearly all of my leagues, 5 out of 6 leagues. He had a fine day, 20 points, and I like what I saw from the Kellen Moore attack. We'll talk about that in a sec. But man, Barkley is not DeAndre Swift. When they give him those goal-to-goal opportunities, Swift was top 7 in goal-to-goal opportunities last year. Just didn't convert him. Barkley hammers him home. 3 touchdowns on the day, 24 carries, 109 yards, 2 scores, and 23-yard receiving touchdown as well. Oh, what a day for this guy. You have him. He was ranked in my first round, I think 11 or 12. Bottom fringe first rounder. He's going to be – we'll see how Bijan and Breece do today, but there's a very real world where Barkley is the number 2 running back behind CMC. By the end of the year, if he's the number 1 guy, it wouldn't be truly shocking. You have to feel incredible about getting this guy. The end of round 1 was such a tricky minefield. Who do we go with? How do you pick? Barkley looking like a clear smash. It's 1 game. You don't want to go crazy, but again, 3 touchdowns, looking like a perfect fit. So you see the way he just was so much space. He's not used to that behind the Giants. Great to see for him. And then just the Eagles passing game. I did know, Hurts. Again, like I said, 5 out of 6 leagues. That started the game, I was panicking. That horrible interception, that horrible fumble, 2 turnovers in the first 8 plays. Just oh God, what have I done to myself? He ultimately salvaged the day. I think he finished with 3 turnovers and still got you to 20 points. So I'm this is probably the worst case. 3 touchdowns go to Barkley, 2 of them on the ground. I'm okay here. 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 20 of 34 passing. The 13 rushes for 33 yards was a little concerning. It's a guy that was very explosive. Definitely wanted to see a touchdown on the ground there. Didn't get it. But what I was encouraged by, I saw the stat by Next Gen Stats. Kellen Moore's offense, they used motion on 48 of 73 plays. That was a 66% rate, the highest mark in a single game since 2020. Last season, they used motion on only 35% of their throws, and that is crucial. That's where so much of the big plays, A.J. Brown's touchdown, came on motion. But in general, there's some great articles out there about how motion and play action really improve your estimated yardage and scoring capability, EPA, they like to call it, on any given play. So to see this offense get a little modernized boost, a fresh overlook on motion. Hurts himself, 15 of 21 for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns on plays with motion. Without motion, he went just 5 of 13, 66 yards and 2 interceptions. And Moore's the type of guy to lean into that. But to see those type of splits, how much better he was with motion versus without it on Friday, it was incredible. Big fan there. And then A.J. Brown racking up 67-yard touchdown reception, 5 of 10 targets, 119 yards, and a score. Reached 21 miles per hour on that touchdown, the 3rd fastest speed of a ball carrier of his entire career. So not that anybody was ever saying A.J. Brown is washed, but needless to say, the man still has it. Devonta Smith, a nice 8 targets, 7 catches, 84 yards, still looking damn good as well. So that's all the takeaways I have from this game. Ultimately, we have another super chat, so I'm going to pop on over to that one. Thank you again so much, Anthony Fella, for your support of the show. Wolfpack, what's up? Week 1, let's go. It's absolutely right, fella. Great to see you. always in your finals. Love to see it that you're back here with the Wolfpack. Pick one for the flex spot, full PPR. Tank Dell, Kincaid. Ooh, that's a tricky one. And full makes it a little tougher. Not to hedge, but like Kincaid, I feel better about getting volume here, racking up catches. But to me, man, like that Indy secondary is Swiss cheese. And I know Diggs is now here. I know Dell was running as the third receiver and not playing. Get out of here with that preseason. I'm not going to overreact to the 3 wide receiver set usage in preseason and Tank Dell not being in there and blocking plays. Like, good. That's where he got hurt last year. I'm fine with him being off the field. I'll go Tank Dell here. I'm just, you know me, fella. If you watched the show last year, which I know you did, nobody loves Tank Dell more than me. And I really am intrigued by Kincaid. I'm excited. It's one of the biggest watches. Like, what is this Bills offense this year with these new lack of weapons potentially? But certainly no Stephon Diggs there anymore. I could see Kincaid being the number one guy. There's literally no doubt about that. All that to say, though, give me Tank Dell in a game that at one of the highest projected points, 48.5 total here, Colts versus Texans. I think that game is going to shoot out. I think CJ Stroud, I really can see the narrative of like CJ Stroud, the Texans go for the MVP season, hammer this guy, pound that thing downfield. So I'm going to go Tank Dell here. He's the best receiver. No, Nico Collins is the best receiver, but still, Tank Dell, get those pieces of your Texans in a shootout style game this week. I am so into that for sure. Thank you again so much, fella, for the support. And just to continue with this kind of dabbling in a few questions here or there, well, we go. Great to see the Prebs here. Bruce K, I love that you're helping out answering all these questions here. Chat, support each other. That's the best. Like, yeah, I'm going to answer your questions, of course, but I love watching you guys answer each other's questions and helping each other out as well. The Prebs, though, great to see you. What do I do with Chase today? I'm leaning towards benching. We're going to get into the news in a sec. I don't know if there's been an official designation on him quite yet, but the rumblings are is even if he plays, it's probably a snap count, probably limited. And I was saying earlier, I just think this offense, let's get in, let's get what we have to do for a win and get out of here. It's not going to be Burrow taking 50 dropbacks, trying to put up 40 points against a pathetic Patriots team today. It's like, all right, we'll score our 21, and that will be more than enough because the Pats score 3 type of situation. So, yeah, I'm not really into Chase. I'm not really into Burrow today. I'm benching both those guys if I have at least halfway decent options to do so. We benching Burrow for Stafford type of situation. Let me know what your other options are, Prebs. But, yeah, I'm going to be low on Chase, no doubt about it. And my rankings don't reflect that quite yet. I think I have him at like 14. I was below like minus 7 ECR earlier in the week. I think everybody's kind of woken up that he needs to be lower. I'm probably putting him at like 25, 26. So again, not like useless. I'd play him over Iosavis. As much as I like Yoshi, like it's still Ja'Marr Chase, but this is not a start your studs, don't think about it situation. This is different. But he still could have a 7 years touch Ja'Marr Chase too. So, you got to have a pretty damn good option to bench him. I'm not going to bump him completely out of my top 50. If he doesn't play, then obviously this is a moot point anyways. Geno or Stafford in a super flex league for Campanelli. Honestly, 2 of my favorite starts today. I love both these guys. So excited to see what the Seahawks offense, and defense for that matter, the Seahawks in general. But so excited to see what this offense under Ryan Grubb. How does this offense look? Is it the Washington Huskies just pounding on points? You certainly have a decent enough matchup against the Broncos, but as we have all talked about, I love Matthew Stafford this week. Revenge game, get in Detroit. That offense, when those 3 guys are healthy, was top 7, more often top 3, and Stafford's not too far removed from 40 touchdowns. And last year, that offense was good. It was just Kyren Williams was just siphoning all the goal line looks, and just that could easily flip. Touchdowns are the most volatile thing year to year. I love Stafford tonight, and that game is going to be so fun. So I'm going Stafford pretty easily on that one, Campanelli. And Stevenson, and shout out Campanelli, doing all the Lord's work there in the mod seat. I greatly appreciate you every Sunday morning being here with the boys. It really does truly help us out so much, tracking those super chats and everything. Stevenson or Jamo Williams in the flex for Eric Buckman. Before we get into some news, let's answer this last one. Stevenson or Williams? I mean, I'm so excited to see what Williams does tonight. That being said, this is one of the ones where it's like I want to see the hype before I believe it. This is a great time to, a shootout style game, not a great secondary for the Rams. I'm excited to see Williams tonight, but this is one I need to see before I truly believe. I saw the glimpses last year. I saw the flashes. I've seen all the training camp reports, but yet I just don't feel fully ready to roll him out quite yet if I don't have to. So I'm going to go Ramondre Stevenson there. Eric Buckman is where I am leaning. Just get the volume. Okay enough bet to – I mean, not a great bet to score. No one's ever a good bet to score in New England, unfortunately, this year. But I'm leaning Stevenson there. It's tricky, though, because I just don't like starting any Patriots. But if there's one I have to start this week, it is Stevenson, and I just don't fully buy JMO quite yet myself. Alrighty, on to this week's watch list. I'm not doing it nearly as in-depth as we did on Thursday night, but over 430 of you now. We're continuing to climb. We got about 700 on Thursday. Would love to get to that number, maybe even 1,000 again, like we did throughout last year. Hoping to do it yet again. But the week one watch list, we're going to get into the injuries right after this. So this is more so like just what am I watching? What do I want to learn this week? I got three notes here. The first is the Bengals, Chargers, and Cowboys backfield. I don't know who is going to ultimately lead that team in snaps and carries and touches, but I do know that all three of those backfields are going to produce some fantasy value. We got the Bengals offense. You don't need me to explain why a Burrow-led offense should be top 10 in the league. Is it going to be Zach Moss? Is it going to be Chase Brown? Is it an ugly committee and neither of them can be dependable? We're going to find out today. Chargers, similarly, Greg Roman's attack, always top 3 in carries, yards, touchdowns. It's a runner back's dream. Who is it? Gus Edwards, Dobbins? How is he going to look? Does Kamani Vidal mix in? I don't know. We're going to find out today again. And then the Cowboys, the number one scoring offensive last year. None of the running backs going in the top 100 picks. Is it Zeke Elliott just crusty and going to get fed 20 times, though? Maybe. Is Rico Dowdle the guy? Maybe. I don't have a full grasp on it. Don't really love starting anyone in those backfields if I don't have to, but I'm excited to see how they pan out. And if one does emerge in any of those situations, it's going to be very easy to rank anybody in those offenses as a top 25 running back moving forward. So definitely watching that. Definitely watching those rookie QBs. Rookies in general are always so fun. Malik Nabers, Marvin Harrison, what's going to happen? But really, really excited to see Jaden Daniel, Caleb Williams. How do these guys look? In particular, Jaden Daniel, the guy I flag planted just a few weeks ago as a must-draft guy. Can't wait to see how he looks. A little worried about the pressure he's going to get from that Tampa Bay defense, but that might mean more running. Just got to stay healthy, baby. Just stay healthy. Jaden Daniel. So excited to see how those guys look for their new franchises. And then the receivers situation for the Texans. I can't wait to see. Won that game. Texans versus Colts, I think is going to be a blast of a game, but I just cannot wait to see how does this shake out between Nico Collins, Diggs, and Dell. Not sure that like any one game is going to be a real signal. I think every week we're going to have our ups and downs there. But I am most intrigued to see, like, does this team just decide to go big wide receiver sets, 70% pass rate. We're going for the MVP season from Stroud. Like, that's what I'm really looking for and hoping for. All righty, guys. And now we will cover just some of the most crucial notes. There's not a ton because it is week one, but there are, again, week one news, more notes than you typically have. So let's dive into what I have. Chat, if there's anything that came out this morning, I get all my prep done around like 7:30, so there might be a little bit of extra news that I did not see this morning. So I will be on the lookout for any news and nuggets here. But it looks like we did get another super chat. So you know what? I will answer that real quick. My man, fella, coming in twice here with super chats. So let me get back to you here. Thank you again so much. Burrow or Kate Williams, 6 point per passing touchdown. I don't. This must be like a super flex question. Because do you mean Caleb Williams, the C Williams, or do you mean Kyron Williams? I'm not exactly sure, fella, what you're going for here. So assuming it's a super flex and it's Burrow versus Kyron Williams, I always go quarterbacks, even especially in the 6 point passing touchdown league. If it's Caleb Williams, so I go Burrow over Kyron, if that's what this is. If it's not a super flex and it's you meant to say Caleb Williams, I think I'd probably go to Caleb in this one. Those three receivers are so deadly. Like I'm going to be bumping Burrow down hard in the rankings. I know right now doesn't fully reflect that, but the more I've just thought through it, I just do not see them needing points, and I don't see them chasing points when they don't need them with these receivers as banged up as they are. I think we saw how lackluster the Bengals started last year too, and it's not week one Burrow. Like, he's not the thing. So I'm gonna go Caleb Williams over Burrow if that's what this is. But if it's Kyron versus Burrow, I still would rather just have the quarterback, especially in a 6-point passing touchdown. Because there's a world where like Burrow throws 5 touchdowns. Like, screw you, Wolf. Yeah, he's gonna say that on his press conference, right? But ultimately, like, it's Burrow too. So there's still I want to consider the fact that this is the probably top 5 arm in the NFL, maybe top 3, and maybe he does just go bananas because it's Joe Burrow, and that's what he does. But the fellow clarifying Caleb. So yeah, I am gonna go Caleb though with those weapons. Is where I lean. Another season, another reason from Mark G. Great to see you, Gonzo. Best of luck, Wolf. All aboard. No question, just blessing. Thank you so much for your blessing, good sir. Greatly appreciated. Your support has always been awesome. You've been here since we had like 5 people on these streams. So it's so good to see you here. Well, we're getting up to 500 before the 40-minute mark here. Love to see you still here, Gonzo. Greatly appreciate your support here on a Sunday morning. All righty, let's just whip through this quick news here. Quarterbacks. Is there anybody more hateable than Russell Wilson? Self-reports himself for calf tightness. I can't get into it because I will just rant about I'm not gonna say anymore. Self-reporting calf tightness. Russell Wilson. I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Justin Fields likely to start, though, and that's what fantasy people wanted anyway. So thank you, Russell Wilson, for being the world's biggest bitch. We really, really greatly appreciate it because we want to see Justin Fields. I don't know if it'll be pretty. Certainly going to be some ugly moments in there, but we know that this man can put up fantasy points in droves. 55% of his games were top 12 last year. It's one of those things, it is boom bust. When he hits humongous. 2 35-plus point days last year, 6 above 27 points last year. Multiple games with over 70 rushing yards. Most of those were there. Averaged quarterback 6 in fantasy points per game just 2 seasons ago. Quarterback 14 in points per game last year. The guy can put up fantasy points. That's the Konami code in a nutshell, is how much more valuable. 2.5 times more points for rushing yards than passing yards. 1.5 more points for a rushing touchdown over a passing touchdown in most leagues. And so I have him as a fringe top 20 guy this week, which might be too low given his career averages. The thing is it is boom or bust, and it's week 1. And it's like, do I want to just get my 18 to maybe 25 and maybe a huge boom from Stafford, right? Or do I really do I have to roll the dice? Now in the Superflex league, like, yes, you can and should probably put in Justin Fields, but I'm not putting him above Geno. I'm not putting him above Stafford. This is more so if you were rolling around kind of in like the Sam Darnold mud, which I don't even hate, honestly. It's not the worst mud in the world to take a little bath in. But I do like Justin Fields myself. If I'm in that type of territory, let's get for the Konami upside. Let's put a 25 to 30-point quarterback potentially in my flex there. But otherwise, it's probably more of a watch list thing. But he's worth stashing. What if he does go up there and put up a 30-point day and runs for 120, and then this offense is rallying behind the guy that's not self-reporting calf tightness? Let's go. Let's go with Justin Fields today, huh? I'm into it. I like Justin Fields as potentially rallying the troops here. Worth a bench spot in most leagues, in my opinion, at minimum. And certainly in 2 QB. He should have already been rostered. But if he's not somehow in your Superflex or 2 QB league, at minimum roster him and very likely play him, I would say, today for him. That's the only quarterback news. In wide receiver news, the latest I saw was Tee Higgins is doubtful. Probably not going to play. Another one that just don't get me going on Tee Higgins right now. Good Lord. If you trusted Tee Higgins, you did this to yourself. I did it to myself in a league, and then this is what we get for believing in him. My God. And I'm just, for the record, I'm saying this is likely going to happen all year. This is the team that he did not want to play for, that keeps franchising him. If he has any type of tightness, he's never going to play. So enjoy this ride. It's going to be a real fun one. You should never have been buying Tee Higgins in the first place. So he's going to be doubtful, probably not playing. And then Ja'Marr Chase was Zach Taylor, very helpful. We'll see. Thanks for clarifying, Taylor. We really, really appreciate Zach. He was limited, and then he said he ultimately got a full practice in over the weekend. I think he plays, but again, is it a full role? He hasn't practiced with the team. Do they really need to deploy Chase? It's one of those things that's like bench Chase at your own risk. We've seen no receiver have more 50-point days than him, but those 50-point days typically come against the Chiefs. We're one of them, where they have to actually push the ball, where they have to score points. If push comes to shove and I got Ja'Marr Chase, it's tricky. It's a tricky one. I don't have a clear-cut right or wrong answer for you. You have to have a good reason to bench him. I'd say a top 24-ish receiver. Christian Kirkish. I got to figure out where I'm going to draw the line there for Ja'Marr Chase. And maybe he doesn't even end up playing and he makes this even easier for us. I'm not positive one way or another for him. But we shall find out. If we get any new updates or news, like officially active on a snap count, any of that, please do let me know. I'd be happy to reevaluate the Chase situation. That's really going to be the biggest news, though, of this week is what we do here. Andrei Iosivas, in the meantime, though, 8% rostered as of this morning. I think that's going to bump up to like 65, 70%. I think he's going to ball out in this guy's absence. Over 70% of routes just once last year, had over 20 points in that game. 4.4340 at 210 pounds, 6'3", size, speed, terror. Red zone had 4 touchdowns last year on very limited routes and snaps. Great red zone body. Burrow called him the best player of camp, the star, the most improved player he's ever seen. Whew. Like there's hype coming from everywhere on this guy. I go as far, this is giving me Tank Dell vibes. Like this is the guy, weirdish receiver rotation, at least right now. Like I'm into it. I'm into Iosavis. I have him 20 spots above the ECR this week. I'm playing him if I have to, if I'm desperate. But at minimum, I want him on my benches. I want to see what happens. And if he sucks, you cut him, and so be it. But this is a guy I do want to have a tryout on, because if he blows up for 2 touchdowns this week, and everybody's like, oh man, you could have the handcuff to both Higgins and Chase, but also the third receiver, the slot receiver, a 6'3" slot beast on my team. I'd be picking up him. Let me know in your questions if you have a question. Do I pick up him? Do I drop this guy? I've got a lot of those on Twitter. But last year, my tweet included Kyron Williams as one of the must pick up. If you watch the week 1 show, I said this is the stash. I think Iosavis and I think Bucky Irving are those guys this year, the must stash guys. Ray Davis, of course, too, if he's somehow out there in your league, even more so. Josh Downs is not playing. It ultimately does open the slot up here for A.D. Mitchell, where he's been playing all preseason. Another guy, probably, I don't know about him or Yoshi, which one I'd rather have on my roster. Both of them out there in over 50% of leagues, though. Both of them well worth spots on your roster. 32% right now for A.D. Mitchell. Very excited to see what he does this game as well. An explosive rookie that looked great this preseason. DeAndre Hopkins was questionable. He's expected to play, but I cannot see a world where I trust DeAndre Hopkins quite yet. It sounds like he truly sprained or maybe even tore the MCL. And so, yeah, maybe he's fully recovered, but I need to see that before I believe it. Ideally, you do not have to. I'll play Iosavis over him, for example, as a situation. Addison, quote unquote, definitely will be active. According to him, says he's 100% healthy. I'm higher than him on the ECR, by the way. I have him about 10 spots above. I'm ready to roll him out. That Giants secondary, I think the pass rush is going to be good. I think that's going to be a concern, but I do think that secondary can get beat and can get beat pretty routinely. So I think Addison is in play today for sure. I'd probably rather have Addison than Yoshi. Like we're going to kind of draw the Yoshi bar today. I'd rather have Addison. I just love what I saw last year, and now no Hawkinson for these first few games. And then Mike Williams on a snap count. Worth a roster spot, certainly not worth starting this week. We did get a super chat, so I'm going to cut the news for just a second. We don't have a ton left anyways, but let me jump on over to the super chat that we got. And that's NC Firearms for the first one. So let me find a Jimmy Taylor. There it is. Start 2, Metcalf, Ridley, or Godwin. Whew, Jimmy Taylor, you got yourself some receivers here, my man. I'm going to go Metcalf. I know Surtain, maybe he shadows him. Didn't always do that last year. And this secondary is really bad. And all the reports are they're going to be moving him around the formation more, trying to get him open. And so I think this is the year where like DK really steadies out and really has a monster season. And I'm just excited to see what that offense does. Plus, you got Lockett banged up entering the game today. So I think this is going to be a great game for Metcalf. I really like JSN too, but I like Metcalf certainly more. And so it comes down to Godwin or Ridley, and I got to go Godwin, given that Washington matchup this week. No secondary gave up more points to wide receivers last year in fantasy. They did not do nearly anything to improve it. And Godwin back in that natural slot role. We talked about it all summer long, like how big that's going to be for his value, how he's like routinely been a top 12 wide receiver any given season where he's played 65% or more of his snaps out of the slot. He is going to be feasting from there. I do love Calvin Ridley too. I actually have Ridley and Godwin on my own team in my biggest league. And so I'm rolling them both out. I paid up in an auction for McCaffrey, my receivers. I kind of have a bunch of like twos, and I love Godwin and I love Ridley. I think both these guys are great. I'm starting them both. The one worry with Ridley for me this week, and why I'd bench him if I had this situation, is Jalen Johnson, the guy from the Bears. I know it's the corner. I think it's Jalen Johnson is his name. Shut down, complete monster of a corner, and the type of guy that does often shadow. So I do feel great about Ridley this year. And I do think with Hopkins banged up, he could be in a fine enough spot to even overcome a good cornerback matchup. I love him this year. When I have those other two guys, though, to play, I'm going to play them first this week. You're welcome, Jimmy, as well. Thank you for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, Steven Youngberg, with the super chat as well. Javonte or Ford, and then flex Kirk or Najee Harris. Ooh, this is some good questions here coming in early for week one. We got some bangers. I am going to lean here. You got the Seahawks or the clear future back, but it's against Dallas. I think everybody's writing Ford in a little too, and I like Ford, but like Foreman's back. He's probably going to be active. They're going to give him the goal line looks. This is a good Dallas front. They're both in committees here. I feel like the Seahawks front seven, their secondary is really solid, but the front seven doesn't terrify me. I love how Sean Payton has used his running backs. I'm leaning Javonte here, even with maybe a little bit more committee risk. I am a little worried, like, what if Estime is just a beast and takes goal line work? But I think Javonte is going to be about a 60% snap player, and I think that's going to be good enough in a Packers or a Broncos offense, rather. So I'm going to go Javonte, and then Kirk or Najee. This one, Steven, I don't love to do what's your settings. It changes things, but it really does. Like, I'm assuming you're not playing standard league. It's probably half or full, but even that makes a little bit of a difference. Like Kirk in a full, really tough to bench. You just need 5-6 catches, and he gets there. And he probably will against a Miami defense in a game with a ton of points projected. Like I lean Kirk in certainly full PPR. When it gets to half, though, I think Najee's in line for about 18 to 20 touches today. Atlanta, a good improved defense. It is full PPR. Thank you for clarifying, Steven. So I would go Kirk in that case. That being said, just to tell you the Najee case, like Warren, he practiced in full, probably a little bit of a committee, but Arthur Smith, for all the hate he gets, he does craft good run games. Even if the usage is a little wonky, like all his players always average solid yards per touch in his scheme. And I do think Najee is going to be leaned upon a bit more, at least early on in this season, while Warren gets his legs back under him, while things shake out there. Like this squad likes Najee. So I'm going to go Najee, and I'm on the bench there, though. At full PPR, I'm going to play Christian Kirk. I'm going to play Javonte Williams, Steven. Good luck, good sir. Saturday. Hopefully we make your, unless it's a play on Saturday, hopefully your day's happier with getting this one right. Thank you guys so much for these super chats, by the way. I greatly appreciate it. In the flex spot for today, Iosavis or JSN. I'm going to go JSN, and I like Yoshi. I do. Again, an article at roadstreetjournal.com. I published it yesterday. If you want to read all the upside that this guy has, it's a lot. That whole saying, though, with Tyler Lockett banged up, he's probably going to play, but limited. He's not a guy that truly guts things out usually. And just all the hype that JSN got from this new coaching staff, moving him around, looking smooth in camp, all the beat writers saying, getting deep, his average depth of target last year was so criminally low. And like, this guy outproduced Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson when they were teammates. I know we can't continue to hang our hat on that for too much longer, but I think last year's struggles more came down to the coaching than him himself. And so that's going to be the bet I make today, is that JSN truly is still great and just was misused throughout last year. And if Surtain does shadow, I already talked about liking DK and the fact they're going to be moving him around, I think it's great. But if he does get shadowed, Surtain's like the only real corner they have. And then it just lights out for the rest of these guys. So I'm going to go JSN over Yoshi, but I like them both. But yeah, give me JSN Saturday. Let me know what you end up going with. Chase no play, Pat's D. I don't think so. I just don't think this defense is that good, Doug. And I talk about I don't think this game environment is going to be great for fantasy in general. So yeah, maybe that typically would point to the defense being solid. But to me, it's like one of those, like the Bengals put up 21-24. And it's like, okay, so your defense gets like 2 points in that situation. Maybe they get an interception for. But like, give me the Bears, who are like only 40% owned. Give me the Vikings against the Giants. Like I want the chance at like a strip sack fumble or pick six. Like Daniel Jones will hand over those pick sixes like they're Halloween candy. So I'd rather go with the Vikings. I'd rather go with the Bears. I'm not going to play the Pats today. This isn't the Pats of old. It's not like a defense that like you want to play even in bad matchups. They suck. The Patriots are going to blow. So no, Doug, I am not playing them. And then Murray or Stafford. As much as I hyped up Murray, much as Stafford rather, love him tonight. I definitely have Murray higher by about 3 to 4 spots. The Konami upside is so great with Kyler Murray. In terms of the rushing upside, not quite the Josh Allen who's on the other side of him, but this man can run. And with Josh Allen on the other side, I think this is going to be that's one of those games that could get a little points fest early on. I'm really intrigued by this offense in general, how good they looked with Greg Dortch at times as their wide receiver one last year. And they still moved the ball pretty good with Drew Petzing at coordinator. I really like him. And now you added Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride fully blossoming now. I think that game has a lot of fun upside. And I'd much rather play Murray here, even on the road against a good Bills defense. Not a great Bills defense, lost some talent too. So give me Kyler Murray here. Even though I do love Stafford this week, it's Murray for me, for sure. Thank you guys so much. So many generous super chats already coming in. It's week 1, baby, and you guys are showing your boys some love, so I greatly appreciate it. I hope I get it back to you. In addition to showing you love through a super chat and cutting the line, that thumbs up button does just greatly help us continue to grow. We're almost at 650 already today. So awesome to see. Let's continue to pump it up. Let's keep those questions coming. Continue to get your boy out to more people with that thumbs up button, the likes, the shares, the retweets. It does truly help. So there's a few last week 1 notes I just wanted to touch upon. One of them being Todd Bowles saying, you normally go with the hot hand, but since nobody has played yet, Rachaad White starts and we'll go from there. The fact that he's opening this up to a hot hand approach, though, I really like Bucky Irving. I think he's a better runner, pure runner than Rachaad White by a decent stretch, given the success rate that was so bottom barrel for Rachaad White last year, the next-gen stats. I do think White can catch the ball. I think he can hog volume, big back, but I don't love the guys who are runners. So if they're truly going to go with a hot hand, I don't think it's going to take all that long for Bucky Irving to really put his nose into this, potentially as early as this week. So I love stashing Bucky Irving. That's kind of why I put this note on here. I like Rachaad White plenty this week. I'm not saying bench him by any means. He's against Washington. He gave him the 3rd most points to backs in one of the worst defenses in the league. Like I like Rachaad White. He's a great play this week. But at minimum, stashing Bucky Irving to see how he does, see if he's mixing in early, and just the handcuff upside is so great anyways. Got compared to Kyron Williams by Burt Breer when he visited Bucks camp. I just really wanted to get a note on him. I think he's one of my favorite stashes. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he ends up being one of those like crucial pickups over the course of the year. So go ahead, stash him on the bench. I'm a big fan of roster churning. You can get the Rams kicker later tonight. You can get Greg Zerlin on Monday Night Football if your league lets you cut bench players who've already played. So I don't have a kicker right now. I dropped Younghoe Koo, my boy, my favorite kicker in the league. I'd rather get a bench tryout here with Rachaad White's backup here, Bucky Irving, see what happens. And if he sucks, does nothing, cut him for the Rams kicker tonight. Cut him for Greg Zerlin on Monday night. I love doing that. Not every format lets you, so double check your rules, check with your commissioner. If a guy plays but he's on my bench, can I cut him? ESPN doesn't let you in most standard leagues, for example. But I know Yahoo does almost always. I'm not sure on Sleeper, but something to check for sure. Last few notes here is McCaffrey's doing great, says he's definitely going to play. He was listed as questionable, a little shaky. Jordan Mason should already be rostered, ideally by the McCaffrey owner, handcuffing his guy. But either way, if your McCaffrey owner does not have him and he's out there in your league, he's out there in 70% of them right now, go pick up Jordan Mason. He is the most valuable single handcuff in fantasy football besides maybe Blake Corum, maybe Tyler Algier. Who have a little more standalone value maybe. But in terms of if something happens to McCaffrey and Mason starting, there's no Eli Mitchell here anymore. He'd be a top 12 running back, as Eli Mitchell was whenever he started for them. And then Gibson is going to play. Whatever. Mike McCarthy saying we're going to be good at running the football because we are going to commit to it. Okay, we'll see about that. Most pass attempts in the league last year and an absolute dog mess backfield. Not going to buy that. Greg Roman confirmed the team's going to play a hut hand approach between Edwards and Dobbins. You guys know it. If you watch the show in the preseason, I'm in on Gus Edwards a lot this year. I put a lot of my best ball hopes and dreams into the Gus Edwards round 11 basket. And I hope it pans out. I think he's going to be a touchdown maven, but a lot of reports where Dobbins looked more explosive than people expected. Achilles tear, I'm like, okay, I believe it when I see it. Donta Foreman 3 years later is like the poster boy for Achilles tear successes, and yet Cam Akers is showing out with Achilles. Maybe it's going to be like the new ACL. You tear your Achilles in your back in like 8 months, and it doesn't matter. I don't know. We'll see. But definitely a backfield. We talked about on the watch list, like very well worth watching here. And then Jaylen Warren is being full today. It's definitely a guy I more so would rather have on my bench. Let's see what happens. But I can see running back 2 situations. My league, for example, I'm going Devin Singletary over Jalen Warren today. I have him, Chase Brown, and so I have Warren, Chase Brown, and Singletary, and Gus Edwards. I have these running back 3-ish guys, and I'm hoping one of them becomes a clear running back 2 for me. I'm going Singletary today for the volume. You guys let me know what you think, though, between those 4. I actually should probably put up a Twitter poll, who's your running back 2 in this situation. I'm leaning Singletary right now, but we're going to find out. And then the last nuggets are Brock Bowers is off the injury report. He's good to go. And Pat Freiermuth, congrats to him. Big $48.4 million contract extension. Love to see it getting paid over there. Alrighty, guys. That's all we got for our news and notes here. So the rest of the time, the remaining hour and 20 minutes or so, is on to your questions. Continue, please, giving us that thumbs up button if you enjoy what you're hearing at any point. It would be so greatly appreciated. Let's continue on, though. We left off, hold on, at the one thing with I like to mix in some questions and I lose my place. We had Preble already with what do I do with Chase today? And then we had Jameson. So we got Bruce K. Bruce, I love that you're helping out everybody in the chat. So greatly appreciate it. That's what I love to see the chat doing. PPR, start 2. Iosavis, Palmer, Z Moss, or 11.1 points. Flowers, free look. Oh, yeah, because FFP. I was like, what is he talking about? FFPC does that. I might take man. So Bruce, I'm not overly familiar with the FFPC. Is it like a total points thing during the season, or are you facing off with an opponent? Because that does make a difference. Like, it's a total points thing. 11.1 is a little annoying. It's like, yeah, it doesn't move the needle. It's good, not great. But if it's just an opponent, you just got to beat one person and you feel okay about your matchup, well, I'll take 11.1 at that point, especially when these are the other options. But if it's like you got to beat the top 2 in total points over the course of the year, like best ball is, I'm actually not very familiar with FFPC. I've always wanted to do it, and I never really have. I know it's tight end premium, too, if I'm not mistaken. I think if you're facing an opponent and you feel okay about your chances, I would probably just take the 11.1 compared to these options. But if you need just to go for the swings here with more points, I like Zach Moss to bleed the clock. I know full PPR, like the other guys, would probably be safer. But I like Moss. I actually have Iosavis and Palmer. Like, that's where I bumped him up, and I have Iosavis one spot below Palmer. But, man, I love rolling those dice today. I push comes to shove, and I'm making that decision. I think I'm going Yoshi, and I'm going Zach Moss if it's a total points thing. But if it's just you're facing one person, you just need to be better, and it's a records type of thing for who advances, I think I go Flowers, take the free points with that look, and then I would probably go Moss. Moss is probably my favorite of the other 3, and then I would go Moss, Yoshi, Palmer. Really tough question, though, Bruce. I love the chat to help him out. That I have Cooper and Jameson, and Reed. Reed on the bench, damn. That would have been a good one to get in there. If you have Cooper, I'd probably just play Cooper today. I really, really like Amari Cooper. Revenge game at home. Hey, he's better at home. Gets Dallas, wants to prove them wrong. As always, I'm a big Amari Cooper fan. I'd probably just play him Preble and not deal with the headache today. Welcome back. Thank you, DJ. Good to see you for sure. Bruce saying the KC defense is tough first night, tough crowd. Ravens are going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine too. I think that offense is going to be a machine, and Derrick Henry's going to get plenty of good game scripts to feast upon. So I don't want to overreact, but I do think that Andrew's likely situation, that's going to be a headache. It's much more of a headache than anyone probably anticipated, myself included. Happy PR, JSN or JMO for DJ? I'm going JSN today. Again, with Lockett a little bit banged up, with maybe Surtain hanging on DK a little bit more. I love JSN. I really think this is going to be like that. Welcome. Last year, let's call it a loss because your coach was an idiot with Shane Waldron, used you in a dink and dunk role that you didn't deserve. And I think JSN gets used the right way this week. And I could just see the Seahawks coming out and pasting on some points. I'm very intrigued to see. That's maybe I should probably put them in the watch list, like new offensive coordinators, and Ryan Grubb right at the top of the list. What is this offense going to look like? Bruce K says it right when he says, don't sit Rice ever. I fully agree. Nancy Story Trakeoff. Welcome to the show. I didn't know you did any fantasy lineups, Mom. No, I'm guessing Dad is on your Facebook account here asking. Eckler or Jaylen Warren, who to start today? I think I'm leaning Jaylen Warren. I want to see that Eckler still has it before I turn it back to him. I don't know why you took him over Brian Robinson. That would be an easy decision today in our fantasy league. But I would probably go Warren. Last time we saw Eckler, he was just looking so washed, so trash. And what's that role going to be? Robinson's the clear-cut lead back here. Yeah, maybe Eckler's getting the dink and dunks, and maybe he does get that red zone role where he's been so valuable. The hype in camp was it looks like he's back to the Eckler of old, but I don't know. I my eyeballs kind of want to see that before I use it. Whereas we know Jaylen Warren, you go down the list in terms of the efficiency, yards, explosive run rate, and yards per touch, yards per reception. You can just name a stat, yards, missed tackles, first per touch, all those efficiency stats. And Warren's always at the top 3. And we know that Arthur Smith likes his committees. Arthur Smith's going to want to stick it to the Falcons today. I lean the running back there, and I love Warren as a player. He is just so damn talented. So I'm going to go Jaylen Warren over Austin Eckler today. Let me know who you decide be, and I'm excited to see which way you go. Morning Wolf, Stephen Barry. Odd one, but need to play either Chase Brown or Keenan Coleman. That is an odd one. Interesting little decision. So you have Brown a little higher, but interested in your thoughts. Yeah, those are two of the what's going to happen here stories. The Bengals backfield, the Bills wide receiver 1. Is somebody going to clearly emerge? Is it Keenan Coleman? Is the exciting rookie? I have a feeling he's going to start a little slower. Not a great separator, and that doesn't really matter when Josh Allen is willing to put it in those tight spaces and willing to give you the jump balls. So I'm not saying that destroys Keenan Coleman, but it makes him a little risky. I'd rather go with I think the Bengals are just going to try to bleed clock all day. They're going to continue to hand the ball off. It's an interesting backfield to monitor, but I think I'm leaning Brown here. And full PPR too, I could see some design screens, a little dink and dunks with the wide receivers all banged up today. Maybe the backs get a little more involved here. So I'm going to go Chase Brown over Keenan Coleman, and let's see how that plays out. Yeah, Flowers. I like Flowers a lot because of what you say, the dinks, the get of the pressure. Connor or Ayuk for Todd Culver. I'm gonna go Connor. I mean, we saw the way he finished the year, 33-point day, the running back 1 ahead of Christian McCaffrey for the final 4 weeks of the season. When Kyler Murray came back, this guy got his mojo back. Kyler does love to throw it to the running back, and I know more of a vulture risk too because Kyler is great at small as he is, ripping those little red zone touchdowns in. But Connor, man, he is a beast. And he finished so well. And the real risk with him, the only reason he falls to round 5 and 6 and doesn't go top 3 rounds is injuries. Well, he's healthy right now to start the season. And they've already continued to say time and time again, Connor's our workhorse. Connor's our workhorse. Connor's our workhorse. Whereas Ayuk gets the Jets today, or it's Monday rather. He hasn't practiced all summer. I'm going Connor 10 out of 10 times there, Todd. There's been some tough questions, but that one I feel pretty strong about. I get what you're asking. In most weeks, that is a really tough question, but I think this week in particular, Connor's the clear one. Iosavis or JSN? We already got that one a couple of times, push the pace. I am leaning JSN for that situation. I'm just so excited. I think he's going to break out big. And I think Iosavis really could break out big here too. But to me, I just see a situation much more likely that the Seahawks want to just prove this is who we are. We're a new offensive, juggernaut. And they've already talked about how we want to do that through the run. And I get that. They should. Ken Walker's a monster too. Love Ken Walker today. Whew. But JSN, I really think was so misused by that old offensive coordinator. I do really like Yoshi, but I'm going to play JSN ahead of him, especially if Surtain is going to shadow DK at all. Jeff Marks, good to see you. PPR pick 2. McLaurin, Deontay, Javonte, Calvin Ridley. Oh, a good one. Full PPR doesn't matter. To me, Terry's the clear favorite here. Love Terry McLaurin this year. Love him this week. Can't wait to see that connection. That's one of my favorite stories to watch this year. Then it gets tricky because if it was half PPR, I think I'm going Ridley, not asking him any questions. But full PPR really does raise up Deontay Johnson. I mean, that guy very, very realistically had 15 targets today. In half PPR, it's okay, what does 8 for 70 do for me? It's an okay day. It gets you 11 points. It's nice. It's comfy, but it's nothing huge. Whereas Ridley could go for 2 touchdowns. I'd rather roll the dice for the 2 touchdowns. But 15 points, 8 for 70, a nice safe floor now when you're getting full PPR is a different story. I'm not taking Javonte, and I do like Javonte for the record. It's more so I like your other options more. Gun to my head, I got to pick one because of the full PPR. I think I'm going to go Deontay. As much as I love Ridley this week, I think that Bears lockdown corner again. I think it's Jalen Johnson. I don't know if I'm getting it right. The chat may have already corrected me here, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go Deontay and McLaurin for those ones in the full PPR setting. Oh, Bruce, you're here in California. I mean, what is it, 5 a.m. you're getting up for this? I love to see it, man. Cheers. I hope to have you here every week answering people's questions, helping out. Bruce, all the answers you're giving, we're pretty much in lockstep for the most part. So I'd say everybody out there, thank Bruce for his time and help here. Hopefully you come every time, Bruce. I know it's an early morning, but it works out better for our schedule here on the East Coast. Gives us a couple hours between game time. We got to get some errands done. I got to get my own lineups ready. And it's just been good for our views in general, too, having the early stream. So we did the switch, not to box out California people, feel bad about the West Coast, but glad to see some of you still making it. Bruce, you're the man. And thank you again for all the help you're giving in the chat here. I really, really appreciate it. Nicola, would you play Stevenson over Javonte? I think I'll lean Javonte there. Feel as bad as that sounds, I feel better about the Broncos than the Pats because I don't think there's many teams I don't feel better about than the Patriots right now. God, it's going to be ugly. Speaking of regulars, Mr. Russo, great to see you. Giuseppe, Superflex. Nothing ever beats the time that Giuseppe did the live. I got to get the live call-in going. I forgot to put that link in the chat. We'll do that next week. We'll get some live call-ins for sure. And Capodelli, I see you in there. I'll still have you call in if you'd like to today. If you got any questions, just shoot it in the private chat and I'll pull you in if you'd like. Greatly appreciate the mod again. But nothing beats Giuseppe live calling in from the delivery room. That's commitment. That's when it gets. I've never seen that one topped. We'll see. But Mr. Russo, great to see you again. Another great season. You've been here for a long time, for sure. Superflex, Kyler, Fields, or Aaron Rodgers. I got to go Kyler. A good step above the other ones. I wonder who your number one QB is if Kyler's in this decision. Because, man, Kyler's in the top 7 quarterbacks for me this week. As exciting as Fields looks and tantalizing and probably has the highest ceiling, weirdly, out of all these guys. His ceiling's not that much higher than Kyler's, and the floor is just so much more stable. And Rodgers, let's see him make a drive first before we put him out there. And it's San Fran's defense. And I don't like starting Rodgers ever. He ends up okay with fantasy numbers, but it is so slow. He is like the king of just draining the clock. It's always whatever his team is always the worst team in terms of play clock seconds allowed. And it's good strategy for real life. He's just that confident. We're going to get our points and we're going to just bleed you out. Great real life fantasy wise, though, it's just like a slug to get through. So all to say too, Kyler has the running upside, the best offense there. I'm leaning Kyler Murray pretty clearly there. Giuseppe, DJ Johnson, bench, Chase for Godwin, Singletary, Hubbard, or Lockett. I'll tell you, especially in a full PPR, I think Godwin. The matchup is so juicy against Washington. The slot roll is so juicy with Godwin back where he belongs, and especially in a full PPR. I mean, that's just going to be chain moving after chain moving. I think we're going to decide this is Chris Godwin. He's back, baby. That's the type of day we're getting. And again, Chase, I just don't feel great about. I'm going to do. Let me just do this live real quick, guys, because a lot of questions are coming in on Ja'Marr Chase. I probably should have changed the title here to should I start Ja'Marr Chase? I might actually even bump that in real quick while we're live here. Should I start Ja'Marr Chase or because no one really cares? Iosavis is interesting, but we've got a few Iosavis questions for deeper leagues, but Ja'Marr Chase is the one that people are really worried about. So I'm just going to change the title real quick here on YouTube because I think we're going to get that a little more searched here. Should I start Ja'Marr Chase? Thank you for your patience there. But I'm also going to what I wanted to do here is I guess I can't even change it. I've never really done that mid-live. So I want to rank Chase live here. I had him at 15, which was already below the ECR. But I'm looking now, and it's Godwin, Diggs, Metcalf. No, I'd rather have Metcalf. I think I'm going to slide him in. I'd rather have Tank Dell, I think. He's coming in wide receiver 29. Calvin Ridley, man, like I don't know, guys. Like I don't feel great about Ja'Marr Chase today, and he might not even play. So like ultimately, this might be. I don't want to waste too much time doing this here. But if I had like Ridley versus Chase today, I'd probably play Ridley. So I want this to get reflected. Man, this could really backfire though, right? Like Chase walks into 2 touchdowns, looks like the Chase of old, but like not practicing. Like I'm bumping him down. I'd even put in, I'd say I'll put the line at George Pickens. Like that's already so volatile himself. So Chase comes in at wide receiver 34 for me for the week. If he plays below Deontay Johnson, nah, I'm going to put Chase above Deontay Johnson. Full PPR, I'll go Deontay. Half PPR, I'm going to go Chase for the upside. I'm gonna have Chase above Ayuk too. So I'm a little lower on Ayuk, but Ridley, Devonta Smith, Tank Dell, DK Metcalf, Diggs, those guys I have above Chase, as are like McLaurin, DJ Moore, Debo, some of the obvious ones there as well. So that's kind of where Ja'Marr Chase, if he's active, will fall into my rankings. And so, yeah, I go Godwin. Godwin's in that bunch. That's definitely ahead of Chase for me now. DJ Johnson. Let me know what you guys think. Am I completely insane? It's a tough one. It's like a superstar that, probably doesn't need that much time to just come in and go bananas with his QB because he's played with this guy for years and dating back to college. But I just, it's just, again, it's more the game environment. What do they need to beat the Pats? Probably 7 points. That doesn't mean they only get 7 points, but like they're going to hit the 21 and then they're just going to bleed clock. And that, I just like they're not going to need Chase to win this game. So I just see this as like, you didn't play in the preseason, you didn't practice with us. Let's get Chase out for a few series, get his legs under him. You get lucky, he catches a touchdown. I certainly get real lucky, he catches a deep touchdown in that. But like once they're up by a couple scores, they're going to put him on ice. And okay, you warmed up, you got your legs under you. That's how I feel about it. 50-point Chase bomb incoming. Like I'll look like a complete moron. But if I'm in this situation, and I didn't draft Chase anywhere, so I'm not in the situation, I'd be worried. I'd be playing Godwin. I'd be playing these like safer guys and good matchups. Like let's get my 15. Godwin has a huge ceiling today. Yeah. All right, Doug. I know I pulled up your question while I rambled on, but it's an important question, guys. It really is. Ja'Marr Chase is like one of the trickiest situations to start the fantasy year. Like, oh my God, couldn't start without some fireworks, right? Falcons, Chargers, or Vikings D this week. I like the Vikings there. I like all these options, Doug. I think they're all great streamers, but give me the guys that are facing Daniel Jones. They're blitz heavy with Ryan Flores, like they opportunistic defense that, when they're facing a good quarterback that can read those things, they get bombed. But when they're facing a trash quarterback like Daniel Jones, they rack up the sacks, they rack up the turnovers. The Vikings had some huge day on defense last year. If anybody remembers, like I was big on streaming them last year on the right spots, and it typically paid off really, really well. So I'm higher on the ECR than Vikings, and I'm going with them this week, Doug. I feel really solid about the Vikings defense this week. I should double check what they are on DraftKings too, because I've been putting the Chargers in at 2,900, but I think the Vikings were more. And if they're not, I'm going to make sure to mass swap that because I'm very into the Vikings defense. I think they have, again, if defense, you're hoping for the pick six, right? Otherwise, it's like you get your 5 points, you get your 8 points. Yeah, it matters. Every point matters. I'm not trying to say it doesn't, but you want to swing for a ceiling. You want to swing for the matchups where you could like get a 20-point day from your defense. There's nothing more demoralizing to your opponent than when your defense is the one burying them into submission, right? Like that is the best. So I'm leaning the Vikings. That's the one that I see like of those three who has 20-point upside. I think it's the Vikings for that. So good question though. And thank you again, Doug. Multiple super chats, one show. A lot of you guys being very generous. If you want to cut the line, support your boys financially, that is so greatly appreciated. Help keep the lights on here over at Roto Street Journal. It is so greatly appreciated. And if you don't, totally fine. We're going to keep going through all the questions regardless. It's not required, but a thumbs up would be so greatly appreciated. Nice free way to support your guy as well, whether YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, not Instagram, Twitter, though. And the Twitter questions, we get so many views on Twitter, but I don't know if those, I'm pretty sure people can ask questions because I've seen a few. Happy to answer all your questions, guys. The 400 if you're from Twitter. Get them on in. Get the questions in. We'd love to have you asking some questions too. That's the whole point of the show. Alrighty. So we had left off with this one, kind of prompted the Chase rant here. One last thing I'm going to do here, guys, is rank Burrow because we have gotten a lot of Burrow questions on the backs of this news. And if I'm lower on Chase, I want my rankings to tell the story that I want to be cohesive, right? And so I'm going to bump Burrow, who was my quarterback 9. I already talked about having him below Stafford. I'd probably rather have I really think I'd rather have Baker Mayfield this week. God, famous last words. I'd rather have Baker Mayfield than Joe Burrow. Am I already losing my mind and it's week 1? I think so. I think I've already lost my mind, folks. But no, I do feel great about him this week. As I look at the quarterback rankings, one of my questions becomes Stafford or Tua. And I think I got that question. I said Stafford, but I have Tua higher. I love that Jacksonville matchup, but I could also see that the H-Chan 50-point day show. So I am going to put Stafford above Tua as well. I think I got that question earlier, and I said Stafford. I just want to make sure my rankings are consistent with what I'm spitting to you guys. All righty, PPR, Chase or Cooper? Bruce, I'm going Cooper. I love Cooper this week. I'm like 6 plus 6, 7, maybe even more ECR on him. I just love the whole matchup. I love it's a good Dallas defense. It's an opportunistic Dallas defense. Phenomenal fantasy defense. One of my favorite defenses of the week. I do not trust Deshaun Watson, but they also do give up big plays. It comes at the cost of giving up big plays, and who's better at that than Amari Cooper, Plus the revenge game narrative. They're going to be drawing some good stuff up for him. I don't love Deshaun Watson, but Cooper's one of the only players that did not experience a huge drop-off while playing with him. Singletary or Brian Robinson for Mr. Preble today? That's a good question of the low-end RB2s getting some volume. Who do you like more? I like Singletary. I think they've already talked about we don't see much of a drop-off between him and Saquon Barkley. Now, we saw on Friday night that they probably should have seen a bigger drop-off between the pair, but if the coaching staff's going to use him like Barkley, I know he's not Barkley, although he has more total yards from scrimmage over the last 3 years than Saquon Barkley, one of the crazier stats out there. Devin Singletary's been more productive somehow. And I like Singletary. When he gets the featured role, he produces. The guy's nickname is Motor. I'm a fan. I do like Singletary. I think he's a good player. I think he's in line for 20 touches today. And like I said, I love streaming Minnesota defense. I'm not saying Minnesota defense is a bad play, but I think Singletary is going to do some damage. And I like Robinson fine, but Tampa Bay, if you're going to beat them, it's usually through the air. Over the last decade, it seems like they've always had a pretty good run defense and a terrible pass defense. So I'm going Singletary there, Prebs. Giuseppe Russo. Stafford, Kyler, or Jaden Daniels? I stick with Kyler here, but you got some good options. Those are all tricky ones. If it is a matter of who do you roster though, because I know some people I've seen Stafford on waiver wires, which just blows my mind. But at 10-team leagues, I get it at the same time too. I'm gonna roster Jaden Daniels and Kyler over Stafford 10 out of 10 times. I'm going Kyler here anyways. Let's not get too deep in the weeds, but what I was trying to get at is I might have Stafford higher this week than Daniels, but Daniels season long, I think that upside's more. So I would never cut Daniels for Stafford type of situation. But all that to say, I like Kyler the most there of those guys. Giuseppe Russo again. Half PPR, Javonte, Chase Brown, or Lad McConkey. I'm going to go Javonte there. I like Javonte this week. I really do. And I could Chase Brown become routinely ranked ahead of him? Could Lad McConkey become routinely ranked ahead of him? Both, yes. But I'd rather see that before I believe in it. My man Campanelli reminded everyone to give a thumbs up if you're new to the program. Subscribe to the channel. RSH's on a mission to 4K. That's a great plug there. I don't even think I've said we'd love to have you subscribe. I've seen a lot of new names in there. I think we're only about 50 away or so from 4,000. What a great way that would be to wrap up week 1 to hit that 4K number. Oh, we'd be so appreciated to have you. If you enjoy the content, we're live at least 3 times a week. We're ironing out this show schedule, but always Thursdays, always Sunday mornings like we are right now. Waiver Wire show as well on Tuesdays. We used to do a recap show. I might need to take one off at this point. We'll see how we're feeling. But I love it. And those 3 shows have always been such a joy to bring you guys. And I feel like we get a great crew for them every single time. So yeah, we'd love to have you around here, Wolfpack. If you enjoy the questions, you enjoy the back and forth here, we love to answer your questions. That's the whole goal here. We'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. We think it's some of the best content out there. Pick one. Over 1,000 a year too. Almost 1,000, right? We could push the number. I know a lot of you guys are coming over there from Twitter, but man, like I know it's annoying to jump from Twitter to YouTube, but if you hit that quick button, the link is on my top of my profile. Hit the YouTube button, hit the sub. Even if you prefer Twitter, I get it. But if we got like 30 of you out of the 850, just hit that sub button. Bam, we're above 4K. Ooh, it'd be so greatly appreciated. Thank you guys. Pick one, half PPR, Sutton, Yoshi, Jacoby Myers, JMO, or AD Mitchell. Hoo-hoo. This is a good one, Giuseppe, because this is where like Yoshi comes into question. I'm gonna go Yoshi. I bumped Yoshi up in my rankings, and then the more I look at questions like this, I'm like, I'd rather have Yoshi than Sutton. The number one for Joe Burrow potentially, and even if Chase plays, probably still the number one because Chase is on a limited workload. I mean, Myers was so steady last year, so yeah, and it seems like him and Minshew would be a great fit. But like, I don't love Sutton against a really good secondary. Yeah, but then I'm like, yeah, but Sutton's like the target hog there, you know? I did tell, man, I get into this range of receivers, and it's tough because I know I told Menelakis, I know you're probably still out there. I know I told you Thomas goes to the bench for Yoshi, but it's like, do you really do that? I don't know because he's so talented. And like, it's Andrei Iosivas. As much as I like it, I think the narrative is really there. I think, I'm into Yoshi. I'm bumping him up. I'm doing it. I'm going to put Yoshi at wide receiver 40 today, folks. What could go wrong? Oh, man. Ahead of Cortland Sutton, ahead of Brian Thomas, ahead of Vlad McConkey, ahead of Roma Dunzer. I don't know about this. But it's one of those things that, like, I know what his role is going to be this week. He's going to be on the field for probably every snap with Joe Burrow, maybe even without Ja'Marr Chase, certainly without Tee Higgins. Whereas, like, is Brian Thomas going to get a full role? Maybe. And if he does, yeah, he's a more talented player than Andrei Iosivas out of Princeton. I get it. This dude's an Ivy Leaguer. That's not typically who you want in your fantasy lineups. Maybe in the operating room, you like to see an Ivy Leaguer doing brain surgery on you. Not usually playing wide receiver 1 for the Bengals. But he is playing wide receiver 1 for the Bengals, and he is an athletic freak. He was an All-American heptathlon at Princeton as well. He only started to play football like there. He was on the JV squad until his junior year, and then he set records at Princeton. Like once he finally got his football legs under him, he was a monster. And all offseason trained with Burrow, got all this hype. I'm into Yoshi. I really am. I'm bumping him. I have him ahead of these guys. I'm trying to find where I have AD Mitchell because I feel like I have him too low. I do have him too low. So I'm going to bump him up a bit as well. But yeah, Yoshi's the streamer of the day. That's my play. Again, a little nerve-wracking. Worthy worked out. So I'm due for like Worthy. I love the player. Yoshi's more betting on a role and like the potential of the player. Worthy was so much easier though. Like I was so deadlocked, stone cold confident on him. Yoshi's a different beast. I can't sit here and say like I don't have some reservation. I do. It's again an Ivy Leaguer, but I don't know. If you're rolling around that mud, like give Joe Burrow's number 1 a try. An athletic freak at that, I guess my worry is, and kind of why I hope Chase plays, is like I do still love Christian Gonzalez, the Pats number 1 corner. The rest of their corners are garbage. If Yoshi's getting shadowed, maybe it ends up becoming a Burton day. Yeah, I'm going to go Yoshi. But DFS-wise, I think Burton's – everyone's going Yoshi in DFS. So maybe Burton's a sneaky little play there. A little leverage, as they like to call it. Flex half PPR. Back to your questions, folks. Ja'Marr White, Chase Brown, Iosavis, Myers, or JMO. I am leaning I'm going to go Ja'Marr White here, half PPR. Best bet for a touchdown out of all those guys is how I would look at that. Until we see what this Bengals backfield situation is. Monty, Mostert, or Chuber PPR? I am leaning. I'm going to go Monty there. Good options all around. Mostert though in a great spot against the Jags. I know the workload is probably the safest with Chuba, but it's the Panthers. Let's see. Dave Canales, does he revive him? Maybe, but I'd like to see that before I fully buy into it. Right? I'm gonna go Mostert here. That's just a great matchup against really bad secondary. Really bad front seven in general. He had the most receptions to running backs last year, which is probably Achane's role. But yeah, I'm gonna go Mostert there. Giuseppe, reminding the folks, let's share and subscribe, people. Let's get this man the exposure he deserves. Best in the business. Thank you so much for your kind words, Giuseppe Russo. Wouldn't even miss the birth of his child to hit a Sunday stream. That tells you how good the content is. Tells you how good the fans are too, though. We do have the best crew. As much as I love the exposure and love growing, it is awesome. It is fun to have those, like the niche group that we've always had here too, with some of you legends. I like David Campanelli, speaking of legends. Full PPR, wide receiver Tank Dell or Deontay Johnson. I go. Full does make this tougher, right? I never speak badly against my boy Tank. Maybe it will be a downfall this year now they have Diggs there. But I don't go against Tank, and I certainly don't go against Tank in a matchup versus the big play. That secondary is so leaky, so damn leaky. Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna go Tank, even though Full makes it safer and steadier, and Deontay is probably gonna get you 12 to 15 no matter what. What if he catches a touchdown? Then I really regret it. What if Tank Dell catches 2 50-yard bombs today, which he very well could against that horrible defense? And a game that I think shoots out, goes back and forth. So yeah, I'm gonna go Tank Dell. That's a tough one, very tough one for me, Campanelli. Not making it easy here in week one. If you do really want the floor, it is higher with Deontay, but I'm going Tank Dell. Steven Youngberg, flex, Christian Kirk, Najee Harris, Keon Coleman, or Devin Singletary if Chase don't play. I am leaning Steven. I think, you super chatted us this one earlier. And it was full PPR. And I think I said Christian Kirk as the full PPR, kind of safe, steady slot receiver, move it, dig it down the field. I'm a big fan of that. Tien Nguyen, Jerome Ford, or Chase Brown, half PPR in the flex. Ooh, that's a good one. I think I lean with a safer volume of Ford here. If Chase Brown comes out, he's the feature back for the Bengals. You're never going to have to ask this question again, But I just think Moss could be the red zone guy, could be the pass protection guy, could be the early down guy. We just don't really know with him. So I'm going to lean Jerome Ford here over Chase Brown. Despite a tougher matchup, he can catch the ball. He did great in his starts last year. Just nice, steady, safer right there. And Banff. I have Dowdle, Wright, McLaughlin, and Bucky Irving. Should I drop any of them to stash Jordan Mason? I think I would. Man, I like all of these guys. I do like Mason ahead of Irving, even though I just said like everyone's going to be scrambling to pick up Irving. Wright's my favorite handcuff in all of fantasy, other than Tyler Algier and Blake Corum. I think Wright's like the best guy you can have on your bench. Dowdle isn't even really a handcuff. He might be the number one starter. I want to see how he does. And Dowdle's the type of guy, though, like after week one, if he barely sniffs the field, he's an easy cut. But for right now, I would probably hold. McLaughlin has such a valuable receiving role, most likely. Like those are all guys that have roles that you want to see just how big the roles are with Dowdle and McLaughlin, right? The best handcuff you can have in terms of that scheme that he could be entering with that speed, And then, so to me, I'd rather have Mason than Irving. But my question, Banff, is do you play on a league that allows roster churn? Because, could you watch Bucky Irving at 4? And then if he does nothing and doesn't look like he's going to really be involved and it's just a pure handcuff, well, if it's just a pure handcuff, then you cut him and you add Jordan Mason. And then you see what happens on Monday night with this calf and CMC. Mason certainly has more valuable handcuff value than than really Irving, Dowdle, or McLaughlin. Wright's the only guy that I would kind of have higher on a handcuff list. And so especially if you can churn it, like see what Irving does it for. Does nothing, cut him from Mason. But if you can't, I'd rather have Mason on my bench. Happy PR already starting. CMC and Kamara. Who do you start for the flex? Pollard, Ja'Marr White, Chase Brown, Coleman, Ray Davis, Jalen Wright. I think for this one, I lean Pollard. Again, a lot of people like Ja'Marr White, I think more than I do. This is tough. I'm going to go Tony Pollard, though. I know the hype this week was the OC says it's a dead 50-50 split. Pollard was definitely the preferred guy this preseason. It was a split, but it wasn't 50-50. Pollard's definitely the guy in the red zone so far, at least according to this preseason. He looked just explosive. He looked like Tony Pollard of 2 years ago, and that's the most important thing here. That's what I really wanted to see. Bears aren't the best of matchups, but they actually gave up the seventh most points to backs last year. Who knows what this year will bring? But they were particularly susceptible as receivers to receiving backs, and Pollard can do that quite well. So can Tajay Spears, but that's why they have these guys, and so it's like a 1A, 1B, and you don't know which one it's going to be. I just would rather go with talent here, and I don't know that Ja'Marr White has it, even though he's probably the safest bet for volume. I don't know what Chase Brown's volume is going to be. I don't know what his talent is. He had that one screen, but what else? And then it's just like the other guys are really sexy bench stashes, but I don't know about what to do. So I'm going to go Tony Pollard there, Mr. Campanelli. And then we got Psycho Mantis. Jordan Love is my QB1. Do I pick up Watson, Geno, or Mayfield, or try to trade Rashid Rice for a QB? I would not try to trade Rashid Rice at all. I love that man. I think you can get by with Mayfield or Geno. I think we know what Mayfield's ceiling is, and it's solid. Like it's more so it's a nice floor. We saw what he was last year. Maybe he takes a slight step forward. I don't see that getting much better than last year, but if he does what he did last year, he's a great get you through an injury type of QB. So I like that floor, but man, I'd stash Geno today because I'm so intrigued to see what that Ryan Grubb offense looks like. What type of pace they play with? Do they just pound opponents and put up a ton of points even when they're up big? I don't know. We'll get a chance to see that. But he's the one that was the QB6 2 years ago and is a great deep passer in a scheme that seems like it's going to pass a lot more often to the deep layers of the field. So I like Geno here. A little more untapped upside than Mayfield. But honestly, two great bridges. I would not trade Rashid Rice to get a QB when you have those type of guys. I don't like Deshaun Watson for whatever it's worth. Start two for Mr. DJ Johnson. Najee, Lockett, Gus, Keon Coleman, Eric Jamo. I'm going to go Najee. And then, it's not Lockett for me. Not healthy. I don't know about that. Gus I like for the touchdowns, but nothing for you PPR-wise. Maybe you could just go Jamo. Now, this is what I would say. You play Najee at 1. I'm 90% positive Gus plays at 4:30 today. If you're in a really good spot, DJ, and you just want 10 points, I think Gus is a good bet to get you a touchdown, 50-ish yards. Nice. You're okay. So if you kind of see after 1 o'clock what your matchup's like, how it's unfolding. If you suddenly find yourself in a big hole and you're like, man, I need a Hail Mary. Could Gus score 2 touchdowns? He could. Yeah, he could. I'm not saying there's no ceiling to Gus. But in that case, I probably would just deploy Jamo grenade and see if I get 2 long touchdowns tonight. And that all this training camp hype was actually warranted. I don't know if that's actually going to come through. I feel safer about Gus just getting you a nice 10. So most cases, I'm probably going Najee Gus as close as that is in full PPR. It doesn't feel like you're playing in the settings, and yet you're getting probably 15 to 20 touches from each guy, and they're probably getting you 12-ish points. But if you find yourself needing that grenade come 4:30, then Jamo is the bazooka, I would say. I'm so excited to see, though. Maybe I'm the only human being excited to see what the Gus bus does, but I'm just excited to see what that Chargers run game looks like today. As per the Wolf, Russell Wilson's the world's biggest bitch. You heard it here. That's the hard-hitting analysis you guys need. Yes. Self-reporting calf injury. This dude sucks. He got his money. He hasn't been good for 7 years. Russ sucks. Ugh. I hope Fields shows out and we never have to talk about Russell Wilson again. Juan Pena, great to see another regular, man. Wide receiver 1 and 2, Dell, Ridley, DJ Moore, Myers, or Mike Williams. I would say we can take Myers or Mike Williams off of this. And now it comes down to Dell, Ridley, DJ Moore. And you got to pick 2 of them. I'm going to lean DJ Moore and take Dell for that, Juan. Again, the Calvin Ridley, love the guy this year. But in situations where I could potentially bench him, I think I'm going to, given that potential number 1 corner for the Bills. I mean, the Bears, rather. Jalen, I think it's Jalen Johnson. No one's correcting me in the chat, so maybe that's who it is. He was in Hard Knocks a lot, but last year, he really became a shutdown guy that you had to worry about. And I worry a little bit about that for Ridley, as much as I like Ridley this year. So I lean Dell and DJ Moore in that case. And then we've got running back 1 and 2, Walker, Breece Hall, Kyren, or Ford. Come on. 1, why are you putting Breece Hall in a question? You know better. We've had this conversation, Juan. You don't need to ask about Breece Hall. If you put him in a question next week, I am not answering that question. You're playing Breece Hall. 49ers, maybe you worry you a little bit. No. You're playing Breece Hall. This is a great running back crew, though. I actually do have Ken Walker ahead of Kyren. I'm a little lower on Kyren. Detroit gave the lowest points to running backs last year. I don't know what this punt return stuff is. Now Cora might be returning punts, and then I like Kyren overall as a season. I'm not overly concerned, but in a tougher matchup, give me Breece Hall. The Browns might be the worst run D in the league. They gave up the second most points to backs last year. All they talk about is Ken Walker in a 3-down role. I'm huge on Ken Walker today, and this is the season. Give me Breece. Give me Ken Walker. Juan Pena. Don't ask about Breece Hall again, please. DJ Moore or Terry McLaurin. This is a good one. I'm a big Terry guy. Scary Terry guy is clearer. As much I had to take a quick glance at my rankings. Again, I don't like to do that when I do the live show because I want to give you what I would do if I'm sitting here facing it and I don't have a ranking set to look at. And I have Terry 21 and DJ Moore 22. So couldn't be closer for you here. Bizarre. But I'm gonna go Terry McLaurin. Andrei Iosivas or JSN? I'm going JSN. We've gotten that one a few times today. I'm gonna go with JSN there for sure. Ayuk snap count. Hold on, I think I lost my place. Callisto. Sorry, 1 second. Campanelli tossing out some conversations that now have me losing my place over here. I don't know if the ranking's not loading at all or the updated ones because I have not pushed through an update. I can't publish it while I'm live, Campanelli. So there's no ranking showing at all. That's a bigger concern that I will need to address immediately. But if it's just not updated, then I can't. It's hard to get it all updated at once. So let me know if they're not showing at all because that would be a concern. But JSN over Andrei Iosivas. We talked about that one quite a few times. I do not know a VPN that works for DFS sites. Sorry, Kalani. It's legal where I play, so I've never had to look into it. Frazier, over from Scotland. Let's do it again. We are ready to dive back in. I can't remember if you won it last year or 2 years ago or both, but good to have you back nonetheless. I'm going Terry McLaurin, especially if you have Jane Daniels stack him up, but I'm going him anyways here, Frazier. I am worried about Ja'Marr Chase this week. I am benching him where I have good options, and Terry McLaurin is certainly a good option. Ayuk snap count or JSN for Team Lacardia. I'm going to go, I want to say JSN. Has it already said Ayuk snap count, or is that just kind of speculative because he's been holding out, doesn't have his full camp legs under him? It is a tough matchup too against the Jets. It takes just one big play to him as well, though. But yeah, I making sure my rankings reflect it. I'm gonna go JSN over Ayuk. I don't want to deal with that. I'm gonna go JSN. Wide receiver 37, Ayuk. I just bumped down just below him. That's where I lean. All righty. And then we left off. Alrighty. I just had to double check one quick thing. Thank you guys for your patience while we load this next one. Sorry, guys, I lost my place once again. Here we are. All right. Justin Vetter, Morning Wolf, full PPR, Pittman or McLaurin. All righty. I don't love Pittman, but this is the spot to probably use him against a mediocre Houston secondary. Yeah, I have McLaurin 21, Pittman 19. I do love, man. It looks like the website rankings are down. I'll go a little bit longer today just because we're dealing with these technical quick difficulties, guys. So I normally sign off right at 10:15. I'll give an extra like 5-10 minute burst at the end if needed. But I just want to make sure these ranking updates got out there. It sounds like the QBs are the only ones showing for some reason for week 1. I got a couple comments coming in. So let me just get that quickly fixed. I do go Pittman here in a full PPR, Justin. I think he's just going to get so much volume. So I'm leaning him over Scary Terry. As much as I feel great about Scary Terry and Daniels and how that connection could develop, that's kind of one I'd rather see first than if I have a good option like Pittman, who we know is going to get the first read targets, all that good stuff. Sal Riley, another regular here, coming to the stream. Your teams are always stacked, and this is no different here. Half PPR flex: Pittman, Dell, Najee, or Ja'Marr White. Starting Olave, Kamara, and Bijan. Yeah, I'd lean Pittman here, and then we can see kind of how this receiver situation develops for the Texans rather than leaning right into it from the jump. So yeah, I'm gonna go, and I wouldn't bench any of the guys you have. It comes down to me, Dell versus Pittman, but I'm leaning Pittman there for sure. Would you drop Deontay to add Mason? Not Deontay Johnson, if that's who you're asking, Campanelli. I don't know which Deontay you're referring to, but if it's Deontay Johnson, no. As valuable as a handcuff as he is, like, you can't drop him. Just had to drop in and say, good morning, Wolf. Got a target on my back after winning it last year. Going to need your help defend the ship. Hell yeah, Howland. Great to get that W, get the league coming for you. Nothing better than being the number 1 target in the league because you took it down the year before. That's awesome to hear, awesome to see. Let's go. Let's get that win for sure. Sonny says, Pollard or Brian Thomas, 0.75 PPR. I'm going to lean Pollard here, a little safer. As big plays, Brian Thomas, could Brian Thomas come out and score 2 big touchdowns, boom, and make you just like, whoa, I'm never betting that guy again. Yeah, but could he have 1 catch, 40 yards, look great, but that's all he does? Yeah. The range of outcomes of Thomas is a little too wide for me. If I have a guy like Pollard who probably getting me 12, maybe 15, maybe scores a touchdown, and now he's at 20. Okay, now I'm feeling great. The floor feels a lot higher with Pollard to me for week 1. And then let's see what we learn. And maybe Thomas we never have to ask about because he's just a must start the rest of the year, right? But for week 1, unless you're a heavy underdog for some reason already, I would lean Pollard there. All righty. I am seeing my man Lee here, where as I update my week 1 rankings. Here we go. Lee, we are back. You got 2 for me. It looks like they might have fallen down, so I'll be on the lookout for those, Lee. But we got Krana. Here we go. Week 1. I'm excited about the Bears. This is definitely a year to be excited for your Bears. What's your prediction for me? I am leaning Bears win this one. I think you have it a little closer, honestly, than I do. I think the Bears win 28, and I'll say 17 for the Titans. But I think they win by like a nice 10, a comfy 10. I'm a long-suffering Bears fan, though, so you know them probably better than I do, Krana. But I'm going to lean I'm going to go 28-17. Good luck to you. I'm excited. I'm very excited to see what the Bears offense and what that team looks like in general. Charles Jordan. So you were asking from Twitter and now on YouTube. While you're over here, please hit that sub button. Almost 1,000. We're almost there, guys. Any more likes, shares, retweets, push us over the edge with 1,000 live viewers between Twitter and YouTube combined. We'd love to cross that threshold in week 1. That would be an awesome achievement. So please do consider helping us out there. But yeah, we already answered that one with the Pollard, the range of outcomes answer. Flex 1 PPR, Javonte, Warren, B. Thomas Jr. And then, okay, so we'll give the first one. I go Javonte on that one. And then probably going Ja'Marr, just a safer starter here, Krana, but I don't feel great. I have those guys like 29 and 30 each, right back to back towards the bottom of my running backs that are usable this week. So I'm going to go Javonte, though. I do feel good about him. I think he'll get some, even with McLaughlin there, some good receiving. It's just how Peyton always does it. And then I'm going to go Ja'Marr slightly over Chase Brown. Flex 1 PPR, Dell, JSN, Brian Robinson, Hubbard, Pittman, or DJ Moore. I am going to go my man Tank Dell. No, actually Pittman. I do have Pittman higher in a full PPR. I think he's going to get a ton of volume there. And we have hit the 1,000 folks here. I love to see it. Great start to the Sunday season, baby. Let's go. Krana, Flex 1 PPR, Spears, Deontay, Shakir, Kamara, or Kirk. I will go. Man, this is another good one. I'm going to probably go Christian Kirk here in a full PPR. Deontay's the next closest for me, Krana. Both of them definitely guys that you like. Finally got to sign up for Underdog in Jersey. Use code RSJ. There you go. My man Giuseppe. Love. Anybody out there that has not played on Underdog, such a great platform. You use code RSJ. You get to support your boys. We get a good little kickback. And we're actually only about 10 signups away from like a $500 bonus. So anybody out there, if you want to really support your boy, sign up for Underdog, use code RSJ. You'll get up to $1,000 of a deposit bonus, depending on how much you put in yourself. So definitely check it out. Giuseppe, I'm not going to lie. I don't even end up playing a ton of the pick'ems yet. I don't have any off the top of the dome yet for you. You know the bald one is the one to ask for that stuff. That being said, one of us will get at least on the Instagram over here, on our story, a favorite one. We'll put up like 5 or 6 picks on the Instagram, Giuseppe. So just be tracking us over on there. I think you already do. So we'll have some picks for you. I do not have any ready. And maybe I'll make sure to get some ready for each Sunday show, though, moving forward. Because I know a lot of people do look forward to the Bald Ones picks in the mornings there. Happy PPR. Need the highest ceilings with the Andrews popping. Andrews pooping. Not popping. Certainly not poppingly, unfortunately. But pooping is very accurate. Singletary, Ramondre, or Ja'Marr. You need ceiling. None of these three particularly scream ceiling to me. If it is truly ceiling, I guess Ramondre is like the most talented guy and like best touchdown bet. But I still think I'm going Singletary here. It's just such a better bet to get like 20 touches, receiving volume. He also could score twice, like one of those kind of games. So I'm going to go Singletary. If you're looking for ceiling, none of those guys really have it, though. Like, I don't know. Maybe Ramondre, the highest ceiling, but I'm going to go Singletary over him is how I feel. All righty. I am trying to just push forward one last rankings thing because, again, a little worried. Oh, it is going oddly slow, so let's keep answering your questions here. Goff or Richardson, 6-point passing. Ooh, 6-point does make this. I was going to say it's Richardson. Let's not worry about it. But 6-point does make Goff's floor quite a bit higher in that shootout, highest total of the slate here. I really like that game, but I feel like Richardson, the risk here with him is health, and he's healthy right now. 4 rushing touchdowns in 2.5 games last year. You got to play him. You got to just fire him up and hope for the best. You drafted this guy in round 6 for a reason. I know the scoring settings make this closer, Nick, but I'm going Richardson there for sure. Stone Cold Scriber. Jane Daniels or Brock Purdy this week. League has 6 points for rushing touchdowns and 4 points for passing touchdowns. Thanks. I am going to lean here. I'm going to lean Jane Daniels. I'm a big fan of him. Hate that Jet secondary. I think it's a terrible, terrible matchup. I'm leaning Daniels over Purdy there. The Konami upside, the guy that I flag planted my season on. I'm huge on Jade Daniels this week. And Campanelli, I think the rankings are updated, so give me a look if that's not the case. It's working for me, so I hope it's working for you too. Full PPR, need an RB2, Mostert or Stevenson. I'm definitely going Mostert there. I do not want anything to do with the Pats, and conversely, I want everything to do with the Dolphins tunes. So as long as Mostert's healthy, that's the risk with him, but he's healthy right now. Let him rip. Zuho, full PPR, tight end, Pat Fry or Brock Bowers? I'd rather go with the upside here. Go Brock Bowers. Moving him in the backfield, moving him in the slot, moving him out wide. Like we saw in the preseason, they're going to use this guy as a true offensive weapon. So yeah, I'm all about getting him in. And once you get to this tier, it's like, I mean, actually, I kind of like Taysom Hill when we're in this tier, in this mud. But Brock Bowers, I like even more than him. I'm going Brock there. Tyreek Ellis. Good morning, Wolf. Good morning, Tyreek. Fields or Daniels? I'm going Daniels. Give me the rookie. We know Fields could boom, and we know Fields could bust. I don't want that roller coaster volatility for week one. My season on the line, like riding with that. That seems scary. How about JSN or Calvin Ridley? I am going to go Ridley in this one. I know we've had a few benchings of Ridley, but as much as I've also said to play JSN over guys like Yoshi and that stuff, I'm going Ridley here. Potential number one corner, draping him, and great shutdown corner for the Bears there. That scares me, but they do move him around a lot this year. So I think that could be a difference maker. Pickens with Fields or Deontay? I'm going to go Deontay there. Yeah, I'm worried about Pickens with either quarterback, Nick M. And I had Deontay higher anyways, and Fields has not changed that for me. Ayuk, Diggs, Godwin, Stevenson, sit one. I'm sitting Ayuk for this one. Tunes. Stevenson would be the next closest. I'm definitely playing Godwin and Diggs here. I don't love either Stevenson or Ayuk this week, so I'll leave that one up to you because I don't feel like you got it wrong. You've been a little get wrong guy this year, Tunes. A little annoying with that. No, I'm fine with call-outs. I'm just messing with you. I'm going to bench Ayuk myself there. Dell Pittman, Ayuk, sit one. I'm going to sit Ayuk for that one pretty easily myself. Fields or Dak for Charlie? I am going to go Dak. I know the rushing upside of Fields, but Dak was the quarterback one once they decided to turn the keys over to him after week 8 onward. Number one team in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and you look at that backfield, just like, what the hell do you have here? And so, yeah, I get that Cleveland, not the best of matchups, but like Fields, I love the rushing upside, but I know there is so much upside there. Like, could you see red zone? It's like Justin Fields has taken command and now has 3 touchdowns on the ground. Like, you could definitely see that. The ceiling is higher with Fields today. There's no doubt about it. But how many times have we seen him just take so many sacks and turn the ball over and fumble and oh God, like there's like the 5-point day risk and then there's like the 37 points on your bench risk. It's hard to see. It's hard to tell. He did not look great this preseason facing number 2s and 3s and accountants and UPS drivers, right? Like I don't want to put my faith on that yet. If I see it in week 1, okay, yeah, let's fire him up again. But I love stashing him. I really don't want to have to play him unless it's a 2 QB league. And I'd go Dak here, like just safer. We know the upside he can bring, and we know they're going to need to throw with that running game. Metcalf or Waddle over Chase? I would play either of them. And for today, I think I'm leaning Waddle in that matchup against a very, very bad Jacksonville. Like, that secondary, everything about that game says points, especially points for Miami. Scary Terry or Ridley for Charles Jordan? I'm going to go Scary Terry there. Charles is where I prefer it. McLaurin over Chase. I am going to go McLaurin over Chase. Yeah, Lee. I'm worried. I am worried about Chase today. I will admit it. Just don't think they're going to need much. They're not going to need to push it. They're going to get him a couple drives out there, get your feet under you, and then he's gone. Would you drop Rashid Shaheed for someone like Curtis Samuel or Luke McCaffrey? Luke McCaffrey, no. Curtis Samuel, maybe. I think Curtis Samuel probably. Now he's full. Like, I assume the foot thing's not a huge issue. I like Shaheed, I do. So I'm not like out going on my way to drop him, but what do you get when you win? Rashid Shaheed's at best case the clear number 2 for the Saints for Derek Carr. Doesn't sound like a great prize. What do you get with you win Curtis Samuel? The number 1 for Josh Allen. So especially if we're just like benching it right now and like we're just trying to find the most upside, to me it's Curtis Samuel. PPR flex spot. George Pickens or Mostert for George Alcron. I am going to roll with Mostert. I know PPR would tend to favor Pickens. I know no one else is there. I'm worried about Arthur Smith. I'm worried about Justin Fields. I like Mostert. Let him rip. Seattle or Atlanta defense for Tunes. I like Seattle a lot. I think Mike McDonald is going to make that defense a bear to deal with. And the Broncos, not the best of offenses out there. Do I start Chase or wait until an hour before game time? I'm not starting Chase unless it really depends, Angel. Who's the other options, right? Let me know who you have. But I am not opposed to benching him by any means this week. John Doe, Gus Edwards, Ty Chandler, or Tajay Spears. I'm going to go Gus for the touchdown upside here, John Doe. Chargers, Seahawks, or Vikings D for Campanelli. I am leaning here to the Seahawks. I have Seahawks 6th and Vikings 7th. But I like the home matchup. I do think, we talked about wanting those 20-point days. The Seahawks defense definitely has that type of turnover. I believe in Mike McDonald as a coach. I think he's going to have that Seahawks defense flying around at home today. Tank Dell or MHJ, weather in Arizona. I don't know what the weather is, Greenwich. Let me know what you're seeing. I don't typically put too much stock. I don't know what weather in Arizona could be a concern, though. It's always 70 and dry and good. I don't know. What's the weather looking like there? I'll have to check it out, but I'm going to go MHJ over Tank Dell. And I love Tank Dell. I do, but you took MHJ in round 2 for a reason. Put him out there. Austin Veach, start Fields over Lawrence? No way. Again, is there upside to Fields? Yes. Is there risk? Far more than with Trevor Lawrence, who I think is going to have a nice rebound season for sure. Carl Johnson, Jaleel Warren, or Dowdle, half PPR. I like here Warren, I think. I'm intrigued by Jaleel. I love all the offseason hype. I love the Sproulsian role potentially. But Warren is just so damn talented. So when I'm going for this, all committee backs here, go with the talent, and that's Warren to me. Giuseppe asking 7 questions in a row. Giuseppe's been a regular. He gets his questions asked. But yeah, to try to I'll get to them all, Charles. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Full PPR, pick one. Ford, Moss, or Mike Williams. I'm going to lean Ford there. The safest volume, going to get some dink and dunks. Mike Williams just already going to be on a snap count. Not too worried there. Don't want to play him. And Moss, let's see how the backfield shakes out. Yo, for Savion. Would you start Adunze or Brian Thomas Jr. for week 1 in a 16-team half PPR league? Man, 2 exciting rookies. I lean Thomas this week. I think he's got a clearer path to being the number 2, potential number 1, than Adunze does from the start here. But I love both those players, Savion. It's tricky in week 1. We don't really know till we know. So my gut says Thomas there, but it is they're 2 to 3 spots in the rankings. It's a kind of a coin flip. You got to do you there, but I go Thomas myself. Dak or Lawrence for upside? For upside, I think it is Lawrence because you got that Cleveland matchup. That game feels ugly, probably not shooting out. Whereas the Jags versus Dolphins, that game could really open up. I think I have Dak a couple spots higher, Ronald, but if you're leaning for upside, I think Lawrence has more. Adrian Peterson. Bench Josh Palmer, Xavier Worthy, Curtis Samuel, Najee, Trey Benson, Gus Edwards. Should I drop any for a backup quarterback? Probably not. I don't know who your starting quarterback is, but I don't see any reason to drop, unless you don't like your number 1, then no. I'd rather have upside on my bench. The first cut there would be probably Trey Benson, but he's such a good handcuff that no, I don't want to cut him. Jonathan Santiago, I have CMC. Should I drop Blake Corum or Ray Davis? Yeah, I drop Ray Davis, and I love Ray Davis, but if I have that, I have CMC in a league, and Mason got drafted well ahead of where I thought he was going to go. Unfortunately, I would, if I had the option to drop one of my bench guys for Jordan Davis, I'd do it in a heartbeat to ensure my CMC stock, especially with the calf thing already going on. Scary Terry, Josh Palmer, Curtis Samuel, Keenan Allen. A start 2. Definitely going Scary Terry, Adrian, and don't love Keenan this week. Don't really love him in fantasy this year, but how many times has he just gotten it done? So I'll go Keenan and Scary Terry there because the other ones just have so many question marks with Palmer, Curtis Samuel. Who's the number 1? How's it shake out? Palmer probably the number 1, but maybe McConkey is that dude. I think he could be. So I'd go that way. Alrighty, we got main QB Caleb Williams. Stack him up then, yeah. Stack up him and Keenan. PPR, pick 1. Ridley, A. Jones, Godwin, or Waddle. I am going to go I'm going to go Godwin. Probably Waddle. I don't know. These are great options, Mountain Man. You're making it real hard on me. I got to go Waddle here, but Godwin just feels so right in that matchup out of the slot too. But I'm going to go Waddle. Safe to start Jets D? Nah, it's not safe. I would definitely I'd get another defense. And they're great. They're awesome to own, but I don't ever fret dropping a defense in a better matchup. I don't like playing them against San Fran by any means. So, yeah, there you go, Mountain Man. We got a super chat coming in. And this is actually great timing by Eli because I'm going to set a 10-minute timer and go to rapid fire after this. So if you want to guarantee, I'll hopefully get to as many questions as I can. I should be able to mow through the rest of this mailbag, but just in case I can't, super chat's the way to cut the line here, get a full answer. Fields, Caleb W. or Jaden Daniels? I'm going Jaden Daniels easily there, Eli. Again, my flag plant guy of the year. The biggest injury risk, I guess, but you can't play scared in week 1. I'm so excited to see what he does. I think he's going to be a fantasy monster this season. And then Jacoby or Shakir, let it rip with Shakir. I think he's going to have that immediate, like, Justin Fields knows me. I'm the number 1, steps right up. Like, do you want the number 2 for Gardner Minshew or the probable number 1 for Josh Allen, rather? I go with the Josh Allen guy. Maybe it's just Dalton Kincaid, but I think Shakir's gonna come right in and do his thing. Thank you again so much for the super chat there. A lot of super chats coming in today. You guys are so generous. But I am gonna queue up now a rapid fire. Hopefully I can get through the rest of these. I'm gonna set a 10-minute timer, and if I'm done, I'm done because it is that time. Normally I am off right at 10, but I wanted to go a little longer because we have those technical difficulties with the rankings. So I try to sign off by like 10:15 to get my own stuff ready. So let me set a 10-minute timer here. I'm going to rapid fire it on up. Should be able to mow through these, but if you want a guaranteed answer, you want to support your boy, that super chat's the way to do it. And over 1,000 of you here, that thumbs up button. We get 50 of you to hit that subscribe button on YouTube and push us over the edge to 4K. It would be so greatly appreciated. All righty. Timer starts now. Let's do it. All righty. We were on Mountain Man, so we were at Buffalo Boy here. All righty. Start Jaden Daniels or Dak. I would go Jaden Daniels over Dak this week for Buffalo Boy. Andrew, do I start Brian Thomas over Ayuk with his reduced role on Monday? It's a tricky one, but I'd probably stick with Ayuk. What's this reduced role talk? Is there actually a report on that? Or is that just like people speculating because he didn't practice? Which is fair speculation, but I don't know if I've actually seen he's going to be only in for like 15 plays. If it is that, then okay. Then yeah, maybe Brian Thomas. Chase potentially out. Who should I plug in? McConnell, Mooney, or Iosavis? I have no idea who McConnell is, but I am going to go with Iosavis for sure. B-Char, you're awesome, bro. Thank you, man. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for sharing the kind words. Justin Vetter, full PPR, Pollard or Hubbard? I'm leaning Pollard there, despite the clear workload for Hubbard. It's Chuba. I don't know. What are you really getting? Debo or Pittman? I guess he was good on the stretch. I'm going to go Debo over Pittman, even without Purdy playing. But, yeah, that even makes it a little bit safer, too. Jonnu Smith or Noah Fant for KJ Frederick. I'm going Jonnu Smith. Love him. Don't have time, Adrian, for a rate my team. We're in the middle of a rapid fire here. But super chat me. I'd be happy to do that for you. McLaughlin in for Musgrave. I would cut Musgrave. No reason to hold him. Definitely would rather have Jaleel McLaughlin. Bench Chase for Reed. Oh, hell yeah. Let's go. That's a great call. And I would definitely leave in London or Marvin over Chase. But well played there, Lazo. Great job. Hey, it was only got one wrong. It's just because I waited. Why did you cut likely? Yeah, you got to. That's on YouTube. I don't know. I was like a minute before the game time. Like I don't know, but yeah. Start Ja'Marr White or Ramondre Stevenson for Voltron. I am gonna start. Oh God, two guys I just don't love this week, but I'd probably go Ramondre. I think that run game is going to be actually okay for the Pats. I don't like Ja'Marr White at all. New Jersey loves tunes, says Campanelli. Indeed. And Beverly loves tunes, too. We all love tunes. Matthew Noto. Need a full flex PPR. Zach Moss or Tony Pollard. Noto. I'm going to go Pollard. I really do feel like okay with Pollard. If you're leaning Moss, it's not – they're in the same tier for me. Very similar. But I have Pollard higher. Myself, I feel better about it. Jerome Ford, Ja'Marr White, or Jalen Warren for JN Sports Cards. I am leaning Jalen Warren.
No, I'm gonna go Jerome Ford there. Sorry, I feel okay about him. I am noticing I have to bump Warren though up in my rankings. I have him below Eckler. I definitely feel better about Warren today than Eckler. So I'm gonna go Jerome Ford though, just safer volume. Even though the matchup's not ideal, he can get it done in kind of any facet of the game here. Cap for life. What up, bro? Good to see you. 14 team PPR. Stroud, Jacob, Achan. So I'm just gonna try to find the question here. Do I pick up? I need 2 out of 4. Sutton, Shakir, Singletary, or Coleman. I'm gonna go Singletary, and I'm gonna go Shakir. I feel good about Shakir today. And do I pick up Wilson? Drop Dobbs. I don't know which Wilson you mean. I'm sorry. Wilson. Jeff Wilson? I don't know. What Wilson? Caleb? What Wilson? I don't know. Tell me what Wilson. I don't know the Wilson. No one's popping to the top of my head. I'm probably forgetting someone obvious here. So let me know. Shades was thinking of dropping Palmer for Deontay Johnson standard scoring. Oh, yeah, you're always standard scoring. Shades, I don't get what you're doing there with standard scoring. But I'd rather have Deontay Johnson. Like, I know he's more of a PPR guy, but I think Palmer's probably more of a PPR guy too. And Deontay's got a clearer runway to be the number 1, in my opinion. Davey Dave asking Burrow or Goff. And certainly for this week, it's Goff for me. I feel a lot better about Goff right now with all these receiver questions for sure. Mr. Trey Saracinco jumping from the top rope with a super chat. So we're going to pause the rapid fire here, and we will tune into this. Deontay Johnson, Jordan Addison, Josh Palmer, Cortland Sutton, half-point PPR. I am leaning Deontay here. I think he's the safest bet for like double-digit targets. You get those reception points, not full, which I like him even more. But I think a nice like 7-catch, 80-yard day is a very reasonable floor for him. And if he scores, then you're feeling incredible. I do love the big play upside of Addison against a bad Giants defense today. At least bad secondary. I think the front seven's good there, but secondary is atrocious. So Addison could really blow up for like a couple bomb touchdowns. So you know that upside exists. So if you truly, truly need the ceiling play here, then I think Addison has a higher ceiling than Deontay. But to me, 9 out of 10 times, I'm going Deontay Johnson, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Mr. Trey Saracinco. Thank you so much for the support, for the super chat here. Greatly appreciate it. Tunes telling everyone to good luck to everyone except the teams facing him. Feel very similarly. Best of luck to all of you out there, as long as you're not my opponents in my leagues. And some of you guys do tune in, so you guys get horrible luck. Ronald Amigos, got to start 2. Singletary, Rome, Brian Thomas, or Khalil Shakir. I am leaning Singletary and Shakir here. I think are the safest. I love those upside rookies, Ronald. One of them is probably going to blow up for a big play, and you're probably going to be like, thanks, Wolf. But I just know the roles. I know the volume for Singletary, and I feel very solid about Shakir getting that volume too. So, yeah, I'm going to lean that way. To Tyreek for Puka and Palmer. Yeah, I'd take Tyreek for Puka and Palmer, no doubt about it. 110% take Tyreek. Yeah. Anytime you get like a top 3 stud for not really that big of a cost, yes, Tyreek over Josh Palmer and Puka 10 out of 10 times. Brandon Uthman, good morning. Having a great dilemma here. Full PPR start, Cup or Debo. I'm going to go Cup. I'll make that dilemma easy for you. I love the Detroit matchup. I love that Cup is like fully healthy, back to himself, looking like he might even be the number 1 over Puka, according to all the camp reports so far. Well, he's healthy. Well, he's good to go. Go with him. Or you got Debo, also a phenomenal player, phenomenal play, but also, gets the Jets this week, tough secondary, far more mouths to feed overall on offense. Go Cup there. I'll make that dilemma easy for you. Mark Da Silva, happy football day. Happy football day indeed. Let's go, Mark. Full PPR, need 2. McLaughlin, Deontay Johnson, or Ridley. I am going to go McLaurin and Ridley for that one. If it's full PPR, it does get – it is FPPR. Sorry, Mark. In that case, I do bench Ridley. I think Deontay is so much safer in a full PPR. McLaurin's my clear top play there. Tua or Caleb Williams to start for the Goblin Shark Sports. I'm going to go Tua. I love that game. I love that game to shoot out today. So I am leaning Tua over Caleb Williams. Arizona. Wilson. Russell. Michael Wilson. Sorry. Okay. Cap for life. I don't remember the exact options, but I don't think I would have. Michael Wilson's fine. Dobbs, I'd rather have Dobbs, I think. although the quarterback situation is weak there for the next few weeks, but you can do better. What I would say, Cap for life, is like, I'd rather pick up Andrei Iosivas. Let's see what he does for the Bengals today. I'd rather pick up Bucky Irving. I'd rather pick up Jordan Mason. I'd rather pick up any of these upside handcuffs, Ray Davis. Any of those guys would be awesome for a bench stash. What is Michael Wilson truly? Greg Dortch is maybe potentially ahead of him. So I'd rather go for like an upside swing for my bench stash. Maybe Michael Wilson blows up. He's a freakish specimen, but I don't know. I don't personally see it myself. None of Herbies. Need to flex, non-PPR. Oh, non-PPR. What are we doing? Brian Robinson, Brian Thomas, Roma Dunze, Andrei Iosivas. I'm going to go Brian Robinson and standard non-PPR. I like the running backs typically more. And again, I love these receivers, these rookie receivers, Thomas, Odunze, phenomenal talents, especially Odunze. But what are we getting in week one? It's so hard to know. And when I get a guy like Iosivas, probably the number one for Burrow, even if Chase plays, just because Chase is likely to be on a snap count if he's going to be in there. I like Iosivas a lot today. I think if I'm going for a touchdown, especially in a standard league, a guy that has 4 touchdowns on like 30 career targets and now is going to walk into a whole lot more potentially. I like Iosivas today. I do. Even those other guys are such great talents. Before you leave, remember to smash that thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, slam the subscribe button. Rachaad to 4K and beyond. Thank you, Campanelli. Definitely the hype we need. Indeed, though, please do consider. Almost 1,100 of you. Love to see it. Great day to be great. Great day to have so many of you here. Getting those lineups settled. Would greatly appreciate if you think the support we're giving you. Thumbs up and potentially even a subscribe. Help them push us over to 4K. Would be so appreciated. Be motivating to. I'm going to keep doing these, no doubt. But it's nice to see some growth. Nice to see some support on the way in the back end when you're taking 2 of your hours every Sunday morning to do this for free. We would love some help growing the channel. Please consider doing it for us, folks. Start too swift. Hubbard or Chase Brown with no Higgins. I'm leaning Swift and Hubbard there for Fantasy Football 101. Seems like the safest bet for volume. Let's see how that Bengals backfield develops. Hey, you're welcome, Mark. Hopefully the advice pans out for you. And then Jamo Williams or Ladd McConkey, and that is the timer there. So this will be the last one. I like Eric. I'm going to go without knowing the scoring, where Ladd would probably be helpful in a full PPR, a little more dink and dunk. That's another one where I'd like to see it before I have to decide on Ladd. I'll go with the fireworks of Jamo potentially tonight over Ladd as the last one. Both big risks, so go with the guy that a little more established here. Well, Pat, thank you again so much. My updated rankings will be posted just after the stream at roastrejournal.com. Best of luck here. I hope you guys dominate your opponents. I hope you win in your DFS lineups. Check out roastrejournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves. Please do consider hitting that subscribe button to boost us up as we climb towards 4K. One last plea for a thumbs up, a like, a share, a retweet, wherever you are at. It would be so greatly appreciated as we head on out here. Be live again on Tuesday night for your waiver wire decisions. All the best, guys. Thank you so much. Fantasy Football 101, tossing in a quick super chat before we head out. That's so greatly appreciated. And for everybody else that shared those super chats, so many of you today, it is so generous and so nice of you guys. And really does mean more than you probably realize to keep it all going. So thank you again so much. Best of luck in week one. Come on back for Tuesday when we hit those waiver wires. The rankings, again, will be updated at roastrejournal.com. If you'd like to check those out, I'll be tweeting them out at RotoStreetWolf as well. In a world full of fancy sheep, guys, be the wolf. Best of luck. Later.